That's right, guys and dolls. You found your way to Z Show with me, your faithful host, Z. One letter, one show. Welcome. I see some new friends. I see some old friends. Late night for an old friend over there in the land of Holland. Whether you're new or old, whether you're male or female, whether you're, well, any divisive label I can give you, welcome. Seems like it's all about division, labels, characterizations. One label after another. But either way, welcome. How are we? How does the day find you? It finds me well. Thank you for asking. I appreciate it. Because our friend Voynick was asking. I heard him psychically. He was sending a message to me. He said, "How are you, Z?" So I just have to respond, I'm well. I'm always well, even when I'm not. Although I must confess, this quitting my vices is not as easy as some may say. It turns out coffee's like the hardest drug to quit. Who would have thunk it? I just had coffee as like my baseline. Now I realize how neurologically dependent I am on this caffeine. It kind of snuck up on me. And now I'm like having this revelation about drugs, all kinds of drugs. So who would have thought this coffee thing? It feels like my neurology is under attack. There's like a full-on barrage. It's just screaming at me. It's like, what have you done? And then I have to like go through this whole internal monologue with myself. But I will prevail. Like somebody, this True Earth match says, drink green tea. Not a bad idea. I tried that the other day. I actually had some green tea in the cabinet. It wasn't great. Compared to coffee, it's not good. So I'm just going with the complete abstinence from all these psychoactive chemicals. I'm done with it. Completely. Who's with me? Some people say, hey, just keep it up. What's the big deal? Like our friend Christy Lee Dolls. She said, Z, it's healthy for you. Drink the coffee. But no, I'm sticking to it. I'm going monk mode. I'm limiting my vices. Now, whether or not that includes you ladies out there, I haven't quite decided. And yes, I consider women a vice. I'm looking at some of you out there. Vices. And this might not be the easiest thing to hear, that I consider you ladies a vice. But come on, let's look at the facts here. I'll just talk about my life. You ladies have probably been worse for my health than any other thing that I could imagine that I could place in the vice category. Actually, by a long shot. Coffee never ruined my life. Coffee never destroyed me on the inside and stole half my stuff. So I don't know. Maybe I should be looking at you ladies in terms of what I should be removing from my life. Who knows? Most of you just seem to remove yourself from my life. So maybe I don't have to worry. Maybe I'm looking into it too much. But either way, it is what it is. We move on. We continue. You see, now I have to focus on Voynich because he's here for 5 minutes. And all of a sudden I have to be focused on Voynich now. Much love, Voynich. Voynich and I have more commonalities than differences. That's probably why we can't stand each other. Either way, much love, everybody. Welcome to Z Show. How are you? New beginnings, everybody. The ability to change, to pivot, to alter course, it's a skill. It takes humility, it takes intelligence, it takes a lot of things. A lot of it is the ability to challenge one's belief set, which many know that's what I'm hyper focused on here, is continually challenging one's beliefs, putting them to the test, because your beliefs basically give you a narrative. You create a whole paradigm in your head, a story, and in the end, they're just stories. We can't know ultimate truth. Most of it's really projection, ego, hubris, so many things. So, do we have the courage to challenge ourselves? Can we question our beliefs? Can we falsify the things that we accept as truth? You should be able to falsify the ideas that you hold, or they should be falsifiable. And the attempt to falsify them will lead you to some understanding of truth. This, I think, is key. It's important. Otherwise, there's no growth, there's no expansion. And what is your life? You're basically just a shithead. And when I look around, I see mostly shitheads. I don't know what it is. If it's a loss of morality, a loss of accountability, I'm not sure. I see people making baseless accusations consistently, looking for conflict around every corner. This seems to be the new world that we're inhabiting. I don't understand it. And in some ways, I romanticize the past. And I lament the world that I remember. So I'm not sure what that's all about, but I'm calling for an end to it. How do we bring back morality? Huge question. Integrity, principles, values. Maybe the first thing we can do is stop believing in their pseudoscientific presentation of this world. Stop believing in the new religion of scientism, the one that's trying to convince you that everything is mere matter and that you're just accidental particles that somehow formed into you. And if you just give it enough time, billions and billions of years, that somehow that's possible, even though that goes against all laws of physics and all rational thought. But it seems as though they're very intent on convincing you that you're pretty much an accident, you're insignificant, ergo, no values, no morals. I don't see a place for morality in a world of accidental particles. There's no place for it. What I'm really saying is, where's morality without God? I don't see it. Maybe somebody could eventually convince me how that's possible, but I don't see it. Mr. One to One says, more rules, morals. Nice one. Although I don't know how much I could take. I don't know how much I could take things from you, Mr. One to One. The last we spoke, you basically were describing how you tried to vacuum your brains out of your head from your ear. So I don't know how serious that we can take your your comments. I'm just saying. But much love, though. Maybe someday you'll tell us about the logistics of that. It'll go well with the whole general theme of Z Show. We know our friend Mr. Party Poet basically detailed the method in which he used to microwave his own head. So, hey, why not learn how to extricate one's gray matter from their from their ear? He just says he was possessed. You think? Good answer, though. Anyway, much love. Maybe don't do that again. Maybe next time that happens, just take a step back and, I don't know, do something else. Don't Judge Me says she'll never forget the microwave and the straw. Yeah, the straw was separate from the microwave incident. We won't get into that, DJM. Joe the Pill wants me to run for president. Would you vote for me? Hopefully. I mean, if you're encouraging me to run, I'd hope you'd vote for me. And then we have the Sanity Machine. Seems to be a new member of the Z audience. Chopping it up with the chat already. Maybe we get Voy up here with Sanity Machine, and they could just go at it. That would be a good segment. Maybe we can make that happen. They could debate something, and then we'll bring RT up as the moderator. It's funny. Yeah, now I'm getting distracted with the chat. But either way, much love. We're spreading love here, positive vibrations, goodwill. I'm intent on it. I can't be any other way anymore. I'm over everything else. It's too much. People are intent on destroying mostly themselves. That's what I realize. It's like some weird, I don't know, like pseudo-sexual, sadomasochistic urge that people have for destruction. That's the new wave thing. They get us to destroy ourselves and others, obviously, in the process, but they just want us to take ourselves out. Why make it easy for them? Why do the job for them? Maybe we could do like the other thing where we don't do that, where we just kind of like laugh in their faces and take care of each other, act with civility, courtesy. I don't know. It's just an idea. But what do I know? I'm kind of a dreamer. I don't know how it's worked out for me. I'm not very practical in like fitting in with this world. I'm actually the opposite. So maybe we could do like the other thing where we don't completely rip each other apart. I don't know. Again, like I said, it could be like a bit too much to ask, but I don't know. What do I know? We could just get RT up here and he can give us his recipes. Apparently RT has a new recipe, but he's not going to give it to us because it's too good. It had something to do with cauliflower and chicken. Maybe that'll be a good spin-off show for the Z Network. What do you say, RT? We'll produce it. It'll be like a cooking show. We can get behind the scenes with RT. I could picture the whole thing. The apron. We want to know what we want to know what RT's up to. Like what his life's all about. A day in the life. And maybe we'll learn some good recipes. What else are we going to do? I'm not going to come up here and rip into people. I'm just not going to do it. It's too much of it. I've been on air for hundreds, if not thousands of hours at this point. I made a conscious decision. I'm not going to come up here and just do that with people anymore. I'd rather not. I'll just let other people do all that stuff. I was going through like other parts of YouTube today that I'm not acquainted with. I tend to stay away from like my homepage, the things they recommend, because it's all, you know, their algorithms pushing their agenda. But I stumbled into like a different part of YouTube the last couple of days, actually, where there was like the podcasting part where it's like these comedians and these B and C list Hollywood people. And then I just realized like social media is just now, it's the new Hollywood. It's the new control medium. It's the same people, just a new platform. They all have agents and managers and production companies and studios and stuff. And it's just another version of like the same Hollywood. And you can see them and they all have their hundreds of thousands of subscribers and millions of, you know, views and stuff. And I'm like, this isn't even real. This is crazy. And then I realized that's how they get you. It's like this weird trick that they get us to like try to buy into this concept of either fame or attention or financial reward. But really, they're just manipulating the whole thing from the top down. None of it's natural. And the people who are getting all these views, they're horrible. The content's shit. They're complete drones. They're basket cases, whether they're the men or the women. Either they're just completely fucked up or on drugs or just not even funny, not even interesting. But they're part of the system. So it's a rigged game. It's the same thing with the economy. It's a bit disheartening. I have a video I want to play later, maybe today or soon, regarding how these major billionaires, especially in America, they're basically just buying up all the property. I mean, when I say buying up all the property, like the stats are crazy. They're buying up like homes, like family homes in certain states to the tune of like 30% to 40% of the market is being purchased by like Jeff Bezos. And I'm thinking, this is crazy. We're heading back to almost like a feudalism. Call it like a neo-feudalism, where we're going to have these landowners and everybody else is just going to be like tenants, serfs to these feudal lords. This is where we're heading. And it got me thinking. So part of my mind was like, okay, well, if these guys are successful and super smart and skillful and able to gain this great wealth, and well, who's to stop them from buying? And then the other part of my consciousness was like, whoa, hold on. No, this is a rigged system. These guys are getting supported. They're getting government subsidies. It's all a bunch of insider stuff. You know, who was a frat brother from Yale and Skull and Bones, and they jerk each other off in coffins and have their secret meetings and their secret societies and mystery schools, and they give each other the deals and preferential treatment. I said, this isn't capitalism. They didn't get to the top based on their skill or their intelligence. Look at this Elon Musk. He's objectively a moron. No offense, but you know, Elon, if you hear this, who knows? Elon, you might be listening. You might be here under a sock account. Elon didn't like earn his way. He's a minion. He's a puppet. But yet they're buying up everything. And then I'm like, oh, this is how it works. We never left like monarchy. That never changed. It's just continually been these bloodline elites that rule over us. They exploit our energy, our resources. They keep us dumbed down, fighting with each other, warring. This is their game throughout history. They gave us the illusion of the free market, of capitalism, but it's completely bullshit. So, and now this technological age is just making it more known. Things seem to be increasing exponentially, and we're seeing it. So either people are going to actively, with intention, move against that, maybe back to nature, more natural constructs, or it's just going to get worse. In some ways, I'm glad I was able to be born when I was and witness this thing. I saw the dawning of the IT age. I remember the way things were prior to this, the way people were, and I see the way things are now. So I can juxtapose those two ideas, and it's so clear to me. But yeah, whatever it is, whatever these bloodline elite families are, whether it's some genetic lineage that they have that separates them, whether it's just knowledge that they've occulted from us that gives them some type of advantage. Look, if you know how to read the stars, the astrology, you probably have an advantage if you know what that means. If you're in touch with the true metaphysics of this world, the metaphysics that show that we are not mere particles, mere accidents of nature, that we actually exist on multiple dimensions and multiple planes, spiritual, mental, astral, etheric, and that these things are just as real as anything else, if not more. Those worlds are very likely more real than the illusion of material that you're participating in right now. This seems to be the dream world. the illusion. And the ancients seem to have been aware of this. Across cultures, across time, it's only we now, the ones who are supposed to be so educated, with access to this advanced technology, this so-called science, that believe that this is all that there is. They just kept it from us. Plain and simple. All right, maybe we'll get this show on the road. We'll lift this thing off. Where's my music? There it is. Get this going here. Again, much love, everybody. Hope you are doing well. And if not, let's make it a little bit better. Let's use our intention. Let's set our consciousness towards health, well-being, peace, love, and goodwill. Hell, why not? It's worth a shot. What do you want to be? You want to be a drone? You want to be a drone slave like all these other people you see around you? They're basically the Walking Dead. What's with that? There's always compromise in life. Nothing's going to be perfect. But what do you want to choose? You want to be a sellout? Where's the fun in that? Where's my camera? There it is. Greetings. I see you now, everybody. Don't worry. Don't worry. I won't tell what you're all doing behind your computers and your smartphones. Official opening commencing right now. Good evening, everybody. Greetings and salutations. You found your way to Z Show. That's right, folks. It is the end of the rainbow, the bottom of the rabbit hole. And as always, we are broadcasting live and in living color around, yes, I said around, the level horizontal topographical plane that we call Earth. You know it, folks. Strap on in. It's sure to be a wild ride here in Z Show. It always is. It always is. You might learn something. You might feel something. You might meet somebody new. As I like to say, a stranger is only a friend you haven't met yet. Even here in the interwebs, even here, there's people behind all those icons. There's actual people. Well, maybe some are bots, but mostly people. All right, folks, much love. Strap on in. Yeah, coming at you. Who's here? Who's here? Divine Spark 313, Heidi in the house. The Cult of Culture. He said, you can see us, can you? That's right, Cult of Culture. I bet you didn't know that. When I turned my camera on, I could see all of you. You're looking good, though. Keep it up, whatever you're doing. Capricorni, much love. What's up to you, too? Ruled by Saturn, coming at ya. Mr. One, our man from South London. Isabel Live 2.0, a.k.a. Morgan. Much love to the Great White North. Queen of Swords says, hit the like button. Thank you, Queen of Swords. Capricorni, did I say hi to you? Much love. Mr. The Sanity Machine, a.k.a. King Stephen. Much love, good sir. Don't judge me. The very lovely lady from the FLA. Mr. RT, our resident chef, coming at us with the tasty recipes. Dr. E. Val's in the house. Stephen David, good to see you. Good sir. Welcome as always. Who else is here? Zero, the lovely Bex. Somewhere in time, as always, pleasure. Jill the Pill, who's encouraging me to run for president. Maybe someday. I need to start slower, maybe mayor, governor, then I can graduate to president. Who knows? Stationary Pizza, aka Christy Lee Dolls. Much love. And so many others. Oh, and Voynich. Mr. Voynich, late night in Holland. Haven't seen you in a while. True Earth Match says, I'm entering my soft guy era. Good for you, True Guy Match. Enter the soft guy era. It's the age of Aquarius, apparently. They tell us that there's some precession of the equinox. I don't know if that's real or not. And that we're moving into the age of Aquarius. So why not embrace the soft man age? Embrace your embrace your feminine side there and move on into this new age where we can all join together in peace, love, harmony, and understanding. And we can embrace the future with the courage and dignity that only a person who is in touch with both the male and the feminine can truly do. I mean, I'm just saying, can it hurt? I don't know. Maybe it will. All right, folks. Let's take a brief musical interlude, and I'll be back with more Z Show in a bit with some good stuff on tap. So don't go anywhere. Much love all. Much love all.
Oh, hi! With the Disney bundle, there's something for everyone.
That's not it. Where's my song? Much love, everybody. More Z Show in a bit.
Who walks the stair without a care and makes the happiest sound? Bounce up and down just like a clown. Everyone knows it's Slinky, the best present yet to give or get, the favorite all over town. The hit of the day when you're ready to play. Everyone knows it's Slinky, it's Slinky, it's Slinky. For fun, it's the best of the toys. It's Slinky, it's Slinky, the favorite of girls and boys. It's Slinky, for fun is the best of the toys. It's Slinky, the favorite of girls and boys. Everyone wants a Slinky, you ought to get a Slinky.
And boys and girls, more fun with Slinky full toys, Slinky Caterpillar, Slinky Train, Slinky Hippopotamus. Everyone wants a Slinky full toy.
Get yourself ready for a trip through McDonald's land. Take along a friend and grab a hold of Ronald's hand. Follow Ronald McDonald through the land of apple pie trees. And don't be surprised if you meet Big Mac and Big Cheese. There's thick shaped volcanoes, you'll even find a French fry patch. Now just turn around and see if you won't find a hamburger patch as you're heading for a McDonald's in McDonald land, a McDonald's in McDonald land, a McDonald's.
Yeah, coming at you. Even the commercials were better back in the day. I mean, I know they're just straight mindfuck programming. I get it. This isn't news to me. But it was like better mindfuck programming. It was more enjoyable. Please, can we return to the old days?
Grab a bucket and mop. Scrub the bottom and top. There is nothing so clean as my burger machine. with a broom and a brush. Clean it up for the rush. Before you open the door, or to shine on the floor. When we finish one day, start all over again. Tell me what does it mean? At McDonald's it's clean. You deserve a break today. So get up and get away to McDonald's, McDonald's, McDonald's.
Coming at you, everybody. I like what Christy Lee said. She said, "Remember when McDonald's was cheap?" Right. That's the whole point of McDonald's. It was cheap. I mean, I know it's shit. I know it's gross and it's probably the most disgusting thing ever, but most food is disgusting now anyway. Why do we need to single out McDonald's? I mean, I'm no McDonald's defender, but is Taco Bell any better? How is your local grocery store any better? The frozen food section, all these like food stores that you have on the shelves in boxes. Is that really food? You buy something in a can or a box and you bring it home. It stays in your cupboard for like a year, then you cook it. You think that's good for you? It's not. Apparently there's like microplastics and everything now. That's the new thing, microplastics. But yeah, I'm with Christy. She said, remember when McDonald's was cheap? That was the thing about at least America. No matter what, you could always just go like get a hamburger. You could stand like on a corner somewhere with like your hand out and somebody would like put $1 or $2 in your hand. And then you can go get like a Happy Meal. Not anymore. So what are they doing to us? This is supposed to be the age of technical advancement, the age of wonder. But yet everything's more expensive, even relatively speaking. People are struggling more. Mental dysfunction, psychological disorder everywhere. And like you said, you used to just be able to eat. Okay, it wasn't the best thing, but it was a meal. Then you can move on with your life. Maybe do better the next day. I don't know. But that's gone now. It's like total control, total enslavement is what they want. They want you to be completely dependent on them for everything. It's insane. I was like looking at something the other day about I guess it was the oil crisis or the gas crisis in the late 70s. Some people probably remember that, where there was like apparently this oil shortage, this gas shortage in like, I don't know, during like the Carter administration. Think about it. That was like it was like 45 years ago. There's still plenty of oils. There's still plenty of gas. But for some reason, there was a shortage back then. But we know that was all bullshit. So why should we think the inflation now is any less bullshit? That's the thing about humanity. Most people have a very short memory. Very short memory. Where we don't see the patterns. We don't put things together. We're to the point now where most people have even forgot about the pandemic of 2020 and 2021. People are like on from it. They're just like, oh, like we're supposed to pretend it never happened and I'll just go back to playing nice with each other. And it's like people have forgotten already, which just primes us for the next one because we don't remember it. Either it's something in our psychology, something just about our mentality, or maybe it's the programming. Maybe they've engineered us to have these incredibly short attention spans. Either way, it's goofy. It's too much, really. All right, let me see what I have here. We can get into some stuff. Oh, there's a bunch of stuff I want to play, but let me get into this one. This one seems the most interesting. Yeah, let's get into this. All right, so I found this video on one of these space channels. It's called the Mars Crisis, explained by two experts. And I found this highly intriguing for multiple reasons. So what I'm going to play for you now is two so-called experts. And it begs the question, like, what does it take to be an expert, like on Mars colonization? Like, where's the credentials? Prove it to me that you're an expert. How's that? But either way, I'm going to play this as these two experts. It's this guy and a lady. And they talk about the challenges of colonizing space, which to me is commendable on their part, but in some ways actually highlights the major problem that I think is happening with most people's understanding of their reality. So let's get into this, and I'm going to kind of give my little critique.
We're finally ready to colonize space.
No.
Not yet.
Nope.
But we're so close to being able to colonize space.
No.
Well, then how close are we?
So we thought it was something that might happen in our lifetimes, and now we don't think that.
What if everything you thought you knew about space colonization was wrong?
Everything.
Everything? Because I do think everything that I thought I knew about space colonization was wrong, but probably in a different way than you all. Because you're still going to try to tell me how the physically impossible space presentation that we're given is actually real. And you're going to still just keep everybody in the same paradigm that we're living on some weird spinning globy thing that's just kind of floating around, that just came about due to some weird accident of nature that violates all laws of physics. You're going to keep telling me that that's still all real. It's just that everybody else is overestimating our ability to go to space, except you two. So, because you're the really smart ones out of the smart ones. No, not how it works, guy and doll, but I'll give you credit anyway. You're trying.
Everything that's outside of you could kill you.
Try to imagine dust that, if you put it under a microscope, looks like knives. It's not going to be a good time.
They would be baked by radiation in there.
There's no gravity. Fluids rush up. Your face poofs out. It seems to cause vision damage.
Oven hot to like way colder than your freezer. So, you unpressurize the front door and everybody is dead.
It's experimenting on babies. You shouldn't do it.
These two killjoys are Zach and Kelly Weinersmith, authors of A City on Mars, an illustrated book that takes a serious look at how difficult space colonization really is.
So it sucks there. There's not even that free, and we're going to be drinking each other's recycled urine.
That's right. That's right, yes.
So if we're not ready to colonize space yet, how do we get there? Well, find out. This is Hard Reset, a series about rebuilding our world from scratch. Zach and Kelly Weinersmith started out as space enthusiasts, but they found themselves turning into space bastards.
Space bastards? God, if they're space bastards, what does that make me? Can you guys bring in a third chair for Z? Can I be a space bastard? I mean, I know you guys look like you're a married couple or something, but can we make this a throuple and bring Z in? Because you guys are basically going to tell everybody how, how they're overestimating our ability to go to space, but you're not going to tell them how it's a complete Hollywood production and that all the underlying principles that basically set the foundation for the space presentation are completely made up and impossible. You're not going to do that. So I want the third seat there for Z. Maybe they'll do another one and they'll bring me in. Who knows? Maybe it'll be me and Voynich. They could bring the two of us in, like the original Odd Couple. Maybe Voynich and I could be the new Space Bastards, but we'd have to have like a different name instead of Space Bastards. Maybe Space Assholes. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm brainstorming here.
Dirts. So I'm curious why you call yourselves space bastards.
So when we started writing this book, our plan was to write a book about how space settlement is awesome and it's going to be happening soon. And the more research we did, the more we were like, oh, that doesn't seem right to us. And we're not as optimistic about this, or we're not as optimistic about that. And we kept being like the wet blankets at every conversation. And that kind of made us feel like bastards.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people will look at a picture of the moon or Mars and think, oh, that kind of looks like some habitats we have on Earth. It's sort of like the desert, and we can survive in the desert.
Oh, it kind of looks like some habitats on Earth, like the desert. Oh, so you mean the pictures that they show you of the moon or Mars that kind of look like the desert? Well, I don't know. I'm just putting it. Is it possible that those pictures are actually maybe the desert? I don't know. Some people say that those Mars pictures come from some weird Canadian island that's way up there near Greenland called Devon Island. Some people have even taken side-by-side images of Mars, quote unquote, and Devon Island and seen the exact same geographical structures, the hills, same rocks, everything. I mean, exactly the same. So I guess you're telling me that it's kind of this cool coincidence that these other planets look like the desert, but if that third chair was there for me, I'd be like, did you guys ever think that maybe it is the actual desert? I don't know. I'm just saying.
Desert. So we know how to do stuff like that. But space is actually way worse than it looks from just photos.
One thing to consider is that space is probably worse than you think. The environments we'll encounter on other planets or in deep space are not just harsher versions of what we have on Earth. In some ways, they're actively hostile to all life as we know it, more hostile than practically any environment on Earth.
So, what kind of problems do you encounter in space? Well, there's dramatic temperature swings when you're...
And so first of all, look at the production value that they have here. The graphics that they're using for this weird little video presentation that they have. What does it tell you? Well, I'll tell you what it tells me, that even though they're basically contradicting the viability of space travel and space civilization, they're still in some way part of the overarching system. And that tells me something. To me, it seems as though that this is just the controlled opposition. Because when you present anything, especially something this big like space travel, there's always going to be the naysayers. There's going to be the intelligent ones that question things. The so-called opposition. Well, you don't want the opposition to be Z out here telling you that all applied physical science shows the impossibility of space travel. You want this couple, whatever their name is, the Wiener somebody's, to be able to come on as the opposition that you're basically controlling and tell the masses, look, I mean, yeah, it's really, really hard, probably harder than they're making it seem. So that way, all the people questioning this insane presentation have something to latch on to. This is the definition of controlled opposition. And again, the level of graphics, the level of likely financing that went into this production, to me, evidences that you're not opposition. This couple isn't like enemies of the NASA and these other weird fake space companies. They're simply just a part of it. Now, they may be unwitting, but either way, they're still a part of it.
When you're anywhere that doesn't have an atmosphere.
There's no magnetosphere protecting you from deadly cosmic radiation.
We don't understand the impacts of microgravity on the human body, and partial gravity on the moon or Mars might solve that problem, but we don't understand the problem very well yet. So maybe your bones will be degrading your whole life?
Right. This is the part where Z's like, prove gravity. See, they're assuming gravity. They're reifying the model that the pseudoscientific community is presenting to us. They're assuming the underlying physics that somebody like me would decry. They're assuming gravity. You see, this is how controlled opposition works. Because when these two dissenters come on, they preserve the paradigm.
Places like the moon and Mars are covered with regolith, which is jagged glass, which might scar your lungs if you breathe it in. And the dust on Mars is toxic with endocrine disruptors.
Yeah, and then so when you get a dust storm, it's a toxic.
Right. The dust on Mars is toxic with endocrine disruptors because we could know what the dust on Mars is. And of course, Mars has dust. And of course, Mars is a place that's rocky and dusty. Do you see the implicit understanding that's embedded in their narrative? It's all still the narrative. It's all still, yeah, there's rovers on Mars, but to get a human up there, it's so subtle how they do these things. But this is the nature of manipulation, exploitation, and mind control.
Sun blotting out dust storm.
And your plants pick it up. So you better make sure that you get it out of the soil before you start your greenhouse. Otherwise, your kids are going to be eating it.
Yeah.
So not great.
So not great.
Not great, yeah.
Get another one from the tank.
Yeah, get a handful.
Yeah, so one way we like to say that is it's like you are part of a 4 billion year evolutionary process to live in this place in...
Right, you see? You're part of the 4 billion year evolutionary process to live in this place. Right, everybody? Right? Everybody just knows that. You see, they state things as fact, which are actually merely just a belief set. A thinking mind understands you can't know that this place is 4 billion years old and we evolved. It's actually insane to think that we could know that. There's nothing you could present in terms of carbon dating, and it's impossible. I want you to really think, how could anybody know that you're part of a 4 billion year evolutionary process? You can't. But these two annoying, is this the most annoying couple you've ever seen? I want to see like the behind the scenes with these two. Like the morning for them to get to the set, like they woke up in their hotel room, like the little tiff that they had. I want to see like the behind the scenes with this couple before they got here, before they put their little smiles on. But anyway, I digress. I do that sometimes. But again, they're just going to present to you the mainstream narrative of scientism, therefore solidifying the mindset.
In particular. So you're very fine-tuned for a small part of one place, maybe in the whole universe.
The lesson here is that we should appreciate how awesome the Earth is for us, which isn't surprising when you remember it's the environment we're specifically adapted to thrive in. Between the atmosphere, the magnetosphere, and the easy access to chemicals and nutrients that we need to survive, it's hard to imagine how we could make Earth even close to as bad as space.
If someone gave you $1 trillion and said, ruin Earth as thoroughly as Mars is ruined, I don't think you could do it short of like slamming the moon into Earth. If you really worked hard on runaway climate change and got some comets going.
See, here's the thing. These two, they think they're so intelligent and witty and urbane. And they just think they're at the top of the modern intelligentsia. And they're so in touch. And they're probably professors somewhere. And we saw their book. They're probably published multiple times. In reality, they're just unwitting dupes. They're both basically just clowns, but they're probably not aware of it. That's why I can't get on here and get mad at these people anymore. They don't know what they're doing. They're just caught up in the mindset. They're hooked in. And so when people ask, they say, well, Z, how could there be such a deception? Wouldn't so many people have to be in on it? No. You just need Mr. and Mrs. Wiener Schnitzel here. You just need a bunch of them. You put them at the head of NASA. You make them so-called astronauts. You put them in the head of these universities. You make them astrophysicists and astronomers. They don't know any better. They're just regurgitating the things that they are indoctrinated with, the things that they're educated on. That's all. They're not understanding that the very foundation of their theories is all presuppositions. None of it is fact. None of it's demonstrable or substantiated.
Smash, throw nuclear war on top. I think
Werewolves.
you could add some werewolves and zombies and a worldwide plague and maybe a blob monster. Get the core to stop. Get rid of the atmosphere. So maybe if you could produce like a supernova pretty close that could just strip out the atmosphere, there's a risk that, you know, there'll be some carbon dioxide coming out of animals and the plants will get it and someone will survive. So I don't know, maybe another blast of radiation to like double tap the ecosphere.
Maybe an overkill.
It's fine.
Going to space will mean taking a lot of the Earth with us, all to recreate the environments that we have here for free. That will be expensive and difficult. And even though we know it's possible in theory, it's not something we can do in practice.
I don't know how anybody believes this. It's so kooky at this point. This idea. Look, even if space was real, I'm going to like jump on their side for a second. Who would want to go there? Why would you want to go there? What are you going to get from it? What's the return? It's insane. You couldn't live in space even if it was real. Try to live with somebody on Earth. Like, it's hard enough to live with somebody in like an apartment. Even if you like somebody, even if you like you're really into like your boyfriend or girlfriend, try living together for like a year, 2 years. And now try doing it, but like lock the doors and you can't leave. And then make it 3 years. And then make it like a one-room apartment that you would find like in New York. Now you kill each other. And that's still ideal situations. You're not like basically shitting on each other, drinking each other's piss. Could you imagine the smells that would go on there? It's insane to think about. The whole thing is insane. But yet, they have the whole world primed with this space illusion, this fantasy. It's completely insane.
Practice yet. There are huge gaps in our knowledge about how to live in space over the long term.
It's not that we want humans to never start space settlements, but we really feel like there's a bunch of groundwork that needs to be laid before we start space settlements. And maybe the most scary example is having babies in space. At the end of the day, we know very little about mammalian reproduction in space and even less about human reproduction in space. So if you send humans to Mars, it's quite possible that a lot of things are going to go wrong. But we can fill in a lot of these gaps before.
Look, if we're going to do experiments on babies in space, let it not be this couple. I don't want these two up there humping in space, making babies. I want like, you know, like a young, like a foxy couple up there. Or me, send me up there. Send me up there. There's some ladies here in chat right now. You can come with me to do the whole baby in space thing. But kudos to these two for at least thinking about it. Like Elon Musk is like, oh yeah, cool, babies in space. Everybody just have sex in space. I'm sure it'll be fine. What can go wrong? Like that's like everybody else, including NASA. They're like, oh yeah, big deal, no problem. At least these two, like, are somewhat smart enough to say, well, maybe we should kind of rethink this a little bit. This space babies, maybe there might be like something we should look at here. I don't know.
Before we go, so we could start a research station on the moon and we could have a rodent colony and ensure that, you know, they survive for 10 generations without any weird problems.
This is a very basic issue that if you send 10,000 people to space without answering these questions, you're effectively experimenting on babies at scale, which I don't know any ethical system that would countenance that. So it's not like a wishy-washy, gee, I don't know, I'm clutching my pearls about these awesome adventures going to space and not distributing the rewards or something. It's experimenting on babies. You shouldn't do it.
And this is your best.
Yeah. Why are you smiling so wide as you're saying it? Like, It just shows the whole thing is clownish. This is the problem. They've convinced an entire generation, multiple generations now of humanity, of an insane fantasy, and everybody's living in a fantasy world. Hell, I like space movies too. I watched that movie Crow recommended to me. I loved it. I watched it like 2 or 3 times. The movie 2010. It had the guy from Jaws in it. It was horrible and great all at once. I watched that new Zack Snyder Rebel Moon movie, both installments of it. It was horrible, but I loved it at the same time because I grew up on space movies. There's a part of me that loves it. I love Star Wars, Star Trek, all that shit. But at least I'm mature enough in my understanding now to realize it's just a fantasy. I like Narnia too, and I like The Wizard of Oz, but I don't believe I can go to Oz, and I don't believe I can go to space. The problem is they have everybody thinking they can. Grown men and women, people with careers and families and homes and cars and stuff. They have them all thinking that this is like real. This is crazy. We're living in a crazy place, everybody. It's time to just laugh at it. Otherwise, you're not going to make it.
Your backup for humanity. Like, if we have a backup for humanity, but they're awful, do we want a backup for humanity? Like, let's wait and make sure that backup has, a little bit more care for the value of human life.
So how do we take humanity to the stars? How do we learn the things we need in order to successfully colonize space? You've probably heard of Biosphere. And no, I don't mean the Pauly Shore movie Biodome.
Oh, check out that mall, man.
Which was maybe a little bit more fun than the real thing.
Just because we're stuck in a bubble doesn't mean we can't cause any trouble.
Biosphere was supposed to be a closed-loop system, a self-sustaining ecosystem for 8 people.
It was easily the largest attempt to create the exact kind of thing you're going to want on Mars to have a self-sustaining society. It was a greenhouse that had a footprint of 3.14 acres, an enormous greenhouse, but unlike a normal greenhouse, it was sealed. So they built this thing. They actually built this thing. It cost something like over $100 million to build this grand experiment to see if you could stick 8 people in for 2 years without them ever coming out. They would grow their own food, generate their own oxygen, clean their waste. They would even process wheat. There was an underground basement with a server bank that was monitoring things.
So the original plan with Biosphere was that you were going to do these 2-year runs over and over and over again, and each time we'd get better at it. And we would sort of tune the system, and we'd get information that would be helpful for when you get to Mars.
It was an audacious experiment. It got a ton of media attention, and as we mentioned already, inspired a better-than-average Pauly Shore movie. But mostly, Biosphere 2 is remembered as a failure.
There are rumors of liquor bottles, and there was a lot of infighting, not only among the crew, but between the crew and management, and between factions and management. It was a real disaster socially.
Like, they were spitting on each other.
At one point, they were spitting on each other.
Right, that's my point. It's crazy. And look how huge and spacious that was. I could live in Biosphere with the right people. Now, if you put certain people in Biosphere, it'd probably be a mess. But I can imagine I'd have a pretty fun time in the Biosphere with the right crew. I'm just saying. So you saw that thing. It was, what did they say? 3.14 acres, 8 people, beautiful, everything there. Beautiful, almost like a Garden of Eden on Mars. Okay, yeah, maybe. But to get to that point, you have to get there. Yeah, in all the movies, when they're traveling, that movie I saw, that 2010 movie, they went to Jupiter. Yeah, they did the whole cryogenic thing. They had to be frozen for a couple of years because even in the movie they said that it would be too much. They'd eat too much food and they'd get on each other's nerves. Well, as far as I know, you can't cryogenically freeze yourself. Does anybody really think that's possible? People do. These people are thinking that we're going to go to Jupiter and Saturn. I think Jupiter's 400 million miles away, they say, and Saturn's 800 million. And you're going to freeze people to get there? So, yeah, we'll get there. But first, we have to invent how to freeze people for years on ends. That's not going to be a problem. And this is where science fiction has become science reality in people's minds. They think this is real. It's completely insane.
How much they didn't like each other.
So they didn't talk to each other for about a year, these two factions.
And they started calling out for psychiatrists, which they weren't supposed to do, but they couldn't handle it otherwise.
Yeah. So
which can't blame them.
they were also quite skinny. If you see pictures of them from the end, they look quite gaunt. So I think it's usually remembered as just a sort of disaster. Yeah, it was bad.
But the disastrous reputation obscures the bigger point, which is that Biosphere 2 generated a ton of valuable data. And that's the whole point of an experiment like this.
And with all that, it basically worked. 8 people went in, 8 people came out. It is the closest thing we have to a place where we attempted to create a sealed closed-loop ecology at scale. It is the closest thing to something we'll have to do on a much larger scale if you ever want a chance at putting a community on Mars or on the moon.
In fact, the biggest failure of the Biosphere project may just be that we didn't keep it going. Biosphere actually showed that it is possible to live in a closed-loop system. And if we did it more than once, we might actually start to get good at it.
If we had done it again every 2 years, by now we would have had something like a flowchart. We would have known species that don't work or don't work together. We would have maybe known, like, maybe having 5 biomes is kind of goofy and we should have just focused on ag. We would have had, if not a science, something like a list of best practices, like a textbook. You can imagine a world in which NASA or some other organization was tasked with the specific job of space settlement. And there, I think one of the first things we'd say to do is either just buy Biosphere and keep running it, or spin up a similar facility at different scales, because the problem is going to take so very long to solve.
So space is a terrible place for humans, and it's expensive and difficult to get there. The nicest spots are both very far away and still terrible by any human standard. So
the nicest spots are very far away. This is where they're going to start telling you about the moons of Jupiter, the moons of Saturn, and how that we know they're basically inhabitable, and they have the foundations for life there and water and everything. Wow, people believe this. It's so crazy.
So will we actually ever colonize other planets or stars? Maybe. But it'll be...
Maybe. You know, they say the closest star is 25 trillion miles away with a T. So how could we even begin to think that that's possible in any way? Even if humans advanced for like 1 million years, oh, that's right, we're going to like bend space-time and find wormholes. See, this is crazy. They have everybody in a fantasy. They've basically infantilized humanity because this is so immature to think about this. And they got us young. They just hit us with propaganda everywhere. Movies, mostly movies. And even the news. It's a constant barrage of propagandized information that has now conditioned an entire generation of people to believe that this is possible.
It'll be harder than you think, and you should be prepared to wait a long time.
We argue wait and go big is a better way to go in general. It's less Heinlein, it's more Star Trek. It's not a hard scrabble awesome thing that we're going to do. It's going to be something we can do when it is easy and enjoyable.
Getting to the point where we can colonize space will mean developing technologies to clean our water and our air, prevent and reverse diseases, and use energy with incredible efficiency. It will mean vastly expanding our understanding of human biology and how ecosystems work. It will require huge improvements in material sciences, robotics, and biotech. In other words, it will make life on Earth much better and vastly improve our quality of life. And that's much more valuable than any resources we might find on the moon or in...
All right, so that's the narrative, is that the value of space exploration is basically the advancements that we'll be able to use here on Earth. So they're saying, oh, to try to figure out, like you said, how to eliminate disease and do all these things with ecology and stuff like that, that's the benefit here on Earth. What benefit have we really had from the space exploration? They tell us we have things like, I don't know, like powdered drinks like Tang, or these like freeze-dried foods and ice cream and stuff. Was that it? Velcro? Like we wouldn't have invented these things without the so-called space race. Give me a break. That's the justification. That's not enough. There's something afoot that's strange here, because where's the return on the investment for the space race? We have Elon Musk through SpaceX and all these other companies. And people who don't know, you should Be aware that there's multiple space companies now in multiple countries. Where's the return? What's the benefit? If you're an investor in this company, what are you getting out of it? So in 1,000 years, we can go to like a moon of Jupiter. Nobody would invest in that. That's insane. So something doesn't match up here. Who's subsidizing these things? Why are these resources being spent to blast all these things out into space, supposedly crash them? This new Starship that SpaceX is supposedly going to be using to take the astronauts to the moon on the Artemis mission. That's right, everybody. They're using a SpaceX ship, supposedly. They keep crashing it like into the atmosphere. They just keep apparently building these insanely, the most technological thing ever, and just keep crashing it over and over again. It's disintegrating on the way in. This is insane. Who's paying for this? All this energy for what? There's got to be something that's missing here. More than just fireworks in the sky and some weird presentation to make us think that space is real. There has to be something else going on here.
Or in the asteroid belt.
The World Bank estimated that something like 2 to 6% of the world's wealth comes from the actual like resources. So all of the rest of the wealth is ideas from our institutions and the conversations we have with each other.
A good example is these 2 nanometer chips, maybe the most complicated things humans have ever built. It's a global endeavor. It requires companies from Europe, from Asia, from America, all over the world to get together to make these extraordinarily complicated things, and we all do it together. And that's where our wealth comes from. And you can convince yourself of this by taking an iPhone and thinking about what it's made of. It's made of like hydrocarbons and glass and cheap stuff. It's the organization of the stuff that's really valuable. And space is not going to change that.
So space exploration does still hold the promise of unlocking incredible wealth, but maybe not in the way you think. In fact, if we do it right, what we take to the stars will be far more valuable than anything we find there.
So space is often unhygienic because in zero gravity, poop doesn't always stay in the right place.
I don't know how relevant that is, though, because the moon or Mars are a rotating space station. Poop's
Yeah, it's going to go the right direction.
Yeah. I don't think we need to oversell
The poop problems.
the problems. We could talk about poop, though.
Yeah, it's an option.
Yeah, we would.
Let him talk about poop, lady, if he wants to talk about poop. See, he actually probably brought up the most pertinent issue that you would find is the pooping problem. And she wanted to steer him right away from it. Why? Talk about the poop issue. It's probably the main issue. So I don't know what's going on with space. I'm starting to think that there's something up there that they're not telling us about. Maybe it's a fluid. Maybe it's some gooky substance. I don't know what's up there. I'm not so convinced that we can't leave this place. I just don't know the mechanism behind it. I don't know what's up there. But see, I'm okay with that. Because to me, to think otherwise would be psychopathic. To start making stories about what's up there and then filling those stories in on some presupposition that you just made up in your imagination or some weird Jesuit priest made up like 500 years ago. It's crazy to me. Maybe there is stuff up there. Look, it seems like humanity has been trying to reach the heavens ever since all recorded history. We hear stories in the Bible of the so-called Tower of Babel when they were trying to reach the heavens. One of the main themes that runs through the Old Testament is this idea of these fallen beings who have tried to then reach the heavens and usurp the throne of the Almighty in the sky. So it could be so many things. But this presentation that it's like Earth, that there's hard, rocky ground up there, and that somehow if you went to the moon, you would stick to it and be able to walk on it. That's unproven, it's non-demonstrable, and it's unsubstantiated. And frankly, it goes against all logic and reasoning. And most importantly, it's contrary to all applied physical science. I don't know what the heavens are, but I'm okay with not knowing. That's fine with me. Anyway, much love to the Mars Crisis team. And what do they call them? The Space Bastards? It's nice to see a couple who works together. But like I said, I want to see the behind. See, this is the way in my mind. I want to see the behind the scenes of this couple as they're writing their book. If I had to bet, like she just wrote the book, like he probably wanted to put the space poop thing in the book, and she like vetoed that right away, and it just came out at the end. Like that's a thing. Like there was a fight one night about the space poop. They had to have like a conversation before they, didn't go to bed angry about the space poop. This is what I'm imagining with these two goofy people. I wonder what they got paid for this and how long it took to shoot, because there was a lot of graphics in here. This was probably a 2 to 3 day shoot. I don't know. Maybe they did it in one day. You can put the computer generated graphics in afterwards. So, but either way, much love to them. Let's keep the space news vibe going here. I have another one I want to get into. So I've been following this whole saga with NASA's Voyager 1, this deep space probe that has apparently been functioning for longer than I've been alive. Something like 45 or 46 years. I think they launched it in 1977, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. Well, the official story is that up until very recently, both of these devices were still functioning and sending back data, despite the the story that they tell us that they're billions of miles away. Well, that was up until a couple months ago. Apparently, Voyager 1 started to experience some problems. And I was reading about this. Logically, I was like, how would they fix it? What were the problems? How is it still functioning? What's this whole story of Voyager? Well, I came across this news article, and they're apparently going to explain how they fixed Voyager 1 and apparently what went wrong with it in the first place. So I'm glad to hear it, because I was looking for an explanation. Something tells me I'm not going to buy it, but I don't know. Let's hear what they have to say.
Next, NASA says its Voyager 1 probe, the most distant human-made object in the universe, is sending usable information to Earth again after months of spouting gibberish. The spaceship left the solar system in 2012 and is currently more than 15 billion miles from Earth.
So it left the solar system in 2012. So that's how far it is. It's not even in the solar system anymore. And it's 15 billion miles from Earth. That's with a B, everybody. So my take on this is they have to say it's still running. They have to give us the story, because under their narrative, to send something else out there would take, again, like another 45 years to get another 15 billion miles out. So they need to have something out there that's sending data to substantiate the narrative that they're keeping on space.
Well, Dr. Jennifer Millard is an astronomer at Fifth Star Labs, joining us from Barry in Wales. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Yeah, very happy to. I'm glad it's good news.
It is.
All right, so here's another one. She's a doctor. Would they say she is an astronomer or whatever she is? Look, she's got the it's the smile of an unwitting dupe is what it is. She doesn't know. Come on. This lady just got her way to be an astronomer. She's no smarter than anybody listening to me right now, anybody you see walking down the street. Matter of fact, she's probably less intelligent. But again, she thinks that she's at the top of the modern intelligentsia. I know people like her. I've worked with people like her in professional environments. They manage their way into these positions of leadership. And they're just morons objectively. I mean, sorry, lady, I don't know you, but they put her in the glasses, they give her the smile, they'll give her the accolades, they'll tout her education. And the average person will say, well, I'm not an astrophysicist, I'm not an astronomer, I didn't go to Cambridge, so what do I know? You see, and they'll just cede their authority, or they'll cede their understanding over to some perceived authority, which of course is a prime fallacy. To appeal to the authority or to appeal to the consensus of academia is fallacious. It doesn't prove anything. So she could sit here with her smile on her face and act like she knows what she's talking about. In reality, she knows nothing. And again, look behind her. She has the dinosaurs behind her. Again, just reifying the idea of evolution and billions of years, subtly placed in the background.
It is good news. So talk us through, first of all, I suppose, what was going wrong?
So this all began way back in November when, as you say, the craft just wasn't sending back anything that we could unravel back on Earth. It was all nonsense. And it seems to be a hardware problem. One of the chips on board and part of the flight data subsystem, so one of the computers on board, has broken. And, you know, it's not surprising for something that's 4.5 decades old and has been operating for nearly 3.5 decades longer than it should have. So it means that the code that was in this chip wasn't working properly. And so now this code has been transferred to different chips on board. And so now we can start getting some sensible data back from this probe. At the minute, it's just engineering and health data, but soon they're going to move some more software around and we should get lovely science data back.
There's so much to go through there. That is an incredible thing. Firstly, this process of basically repairing something so far away, in kind of simple terms, talk us through how did they do this repair?
Exactly. So it's not a physical repair, of course. You know, we can't get to the probe and swap out the old chip and put a new chip in.
Really? You can't get to the old probe and the old chip 15 billion miles away and swap it out? So how did you, quote unquote, repair it? Please tell us. We're all waiting.
So we've had to kind of be a little bit clever. NASA have had to, instead of using this particular part of the microchip, part of the computer to operate the commands that operate the software, they're using different parts of the chip in order to use that software. They were saying,
that sounds reasonable. You just use a different part of the chip to do the same operation, and that makes sense. And that just fixes everything. You just take the take the operational capability from one part of the chip and then somehow like send signals to like make the other part of the chip do it, and it's perfectly fine, and that makes sense. This is like, you have to suspend so much of your belief or disbelief to buy what she's saying. It almost strains even the most outer limits of credibility. And she has the balls to come on here and say this. And that company she works for, whatever it's called, that she's an astronomer for, Dr. So-and-so, has the balls to put this out. And I don't know who this lady is with this accent. She's not from NASA. She's on BBC and she works for some company. So she doesn't know anything about this. Somebody just sent this to her, like in a memo. She got an email before she came on here. She's just saying what was told to her. Again, it goes back to, oh, how could they lie? So many people would have to be into it. Like this astronomer lady. You know what astronomers do? They look at the things in the sky. They study their movements, which have been studied over the thousands of years of human history. And then they extrapolate them into a heliocentric globe Earth model. They're just measuring and recording lights in the sky. That's all it is, everybody. And they were all mapped out before this lady was born or any of us were born or even NASA was founded. You can look at something called the ephemeris. It's very easy. They have been plotting the stars for thousands of years. They see the cycles. That's how they can predict the eclipses. They can predict where the sun's going to be, where the stars are going to be. This is known before even telescopes were invented. So that's the fallacy that people have. They hear astronomer They see her doctorate and they assume that she's aware of something that humanity is not. I assure you, she is not.
They've essentially kind of turned this little bit of the chip off, ignore that little bit of the computer, and use different parts of the computer instead.
Okay, right. Now let's get a bit more on what on earth it is sending back. What kind of information is it beaming all the way back to Earth?
So at the minute, it's what we call health and engineering data. So it's, is everything else working? Is the probe where we think it is in space? Is it pointing in the right direction? Things like that. It's no science data yet, but they're confident that all of the instruments are still working. It's just a case now that we need different software to go onto different parts of the chip in order to access that science data again. So they're going to repeat the process. It's going to take some time because it takes an awful long time to talk to Voyager. It takes 22 and a half hours to send a message and then 22 and a half hours to get one back. But soon then we should be getting some lovely science data.
22 and a half hours. So that's easy to extrapolate. You just take the speed of light that they give us in the 15 billion miles and you get 22 and a half hours.
Interesting. And where's it going?
Yeah, where's it going?
Well, it's just going out into our galaxy.
Look at the images that it's showing. That's not the pictures that it was taking. That beautiful image of Saturn that we see, that's derived. That's basically an extrapolation. That beautiful picture of Jupiter that I'm showing there in the small box. People think that Voyager has like a 1977 version of like a of camcorder, like a video camera, and then that's going by taking that and sending the images. No. The data that somebody is receiving from this thing is just a bunch of like dots and pixels that are then extrapolated and used to construct these images. They're composites. This is completely insane.
Galaxy towards the heart of our galaxy is just sailing now in the space between the stars, and this
Look how excited she is. It's sailing to the heart of our galaxy in the space between the stars. She probably believes it. She probably gets off on this. She looked like she almost achieved fucking climax talking about Voyager heading through the center of the galaxy in between the stars. They all buy it.
And this is why we want Voyager to keep on going. So Voyager 1 and, of course, Voyager 2. It's probing the space between the stars. No other craft have been able to do this. And it's going to be many decades before we get another craft to have a look at what's going on beyond the sun's influence.
And you've already mentioned it's going on 40 plus years or whatever, a lot longer than it was ever supposed to. How long can it keep going?
It all depends how much power is left on board. So they're powered by radioactive decay, the Voyager probes. And over time, there's just less and less of that fuel on board.
Yeah.
At the minute, the expectations are at least into next year, but soon there's just not going to be enough power to run the science instruments. And eventually they will fall quiet. But their mission won't end there, because on board they have golden discs. And there are notes in 55 different languages, greetings in 55 different languages, sounds of Earth. There are images as well. And they'll just continue to sail around our galaxy. And who knows, maybe some advanced civilization will one day bump into our probes and they'll get a little glimpse of life on Earth.
It's absolutely extraordinary. Thank you so much for coming on the program and talking us through it. Jennifer Miller, Jolchan Val, thank you.
Oh my God. And 99.99 repeating percent of populations believes this. It's still going to do its job, though, everybody. After the radioactive decay fuel cell is spent, there's greetings in 55 languages and discs and images of Earth. Which is funny they bring this up because the movie that I watched, that 2010 movie, references the Voyager. I think they made that movie in the 80s. And it had to do with the fact that like an alien civilization found it and then deconstructed like the human language to communicate with humans. Somewhere in Time says she's cute, though. She is cute. That's the whole thing. I've seen a million chicks like this. I've worked with people like this. They're cute and they're intelligent and they're really good at regurgitating the information that's taught. They're very good at following authority and appealing to consensus. No offense, ladies, but that's why you see more ladies rising to the top of these corporations and these organizations, because there's something in your biology that primes you to accept authority. It's just the way it is. Calm down, ladies. Don't rage out all at once. And I've seen it. I've seen this lady in my life many times. They're just good at going along to get along. They typically don't ruffle any feathers. They're very compliant in so many ways. They present well. And again, she's obviously highly intelligent. And like somebody said, she's cute. Doable, one might say. All right, let's start bringing people up. Who do I have here? Mike Cargo, welcome back to Z Show.
Z, thank you for having me on. I just got last time I was on, we were talking to this kid, and I didn't care much about him. Maybe you care more about him, but I didn't really think much about him at all. So if I ruffled feathers, I'm sorry about that.
All right, take it easy. Take it easy. You're talking about Joshua.
Yeah.
Do I need to play his music to remind people? Yeah, don't worry about it. Look, it's just it is what it is, man. Look, here's the thing. I'm noticing there's just a vibe of across YouTube and all these platforms of just aggression and a lot of like kind of weird vibes that people have and like attack vibes. I don't want that vibe here. So if somebody wants to come here and they're going to be respectful and things, I want them to feel welcome. Because here's the thing, Mike, and I'm not saying you did anything wrong. I'm just saying this to my audience, is that I've been on here now for a while doing this, and I kind of have seen the landscape, and I see the people come and go, and people have different, I guess people have different goals, different expectations, and I'd rather have somebody come here who's good-hearted, respectful, and create an experience where they feel welcome, as opposed to like some super genius who's like a total fucking prick. Because I'm just tired. And I don't mean you. I'm just talking about a bunch of people that come here. I'm just juxtaposing those two things because everybody thinks they're so damn smart when they learn a thing or two. And more I'm realizing is no one's ever going to achieve the final end goal of knowledge and truth. And the arrogance and the hubris that some people show is off-putting to me. So I get kind of sensitive about certain things. So you probably just got caught up in that whole thing, man. I didn't even think about it, if you want to know the truth. Like, I'm fucking over it.
No, I don't think you did. But it hurt me. I was like, oh, why doesn't he like me? Because like the reason I came here was because it sort of like made sense. Like the way you talk about the world and life. We have a similar background, unfortunately, where we learn that the truth is not what we've been told. So, it's a lonely road because I don't know about you, but I don't really talk about stuff like this with my friends and family. I mean, it's alienating to talk about like explicitly flat Earth. I would never bring that up with anybody in my life.
It is. It's one of the most alienating things that there is. Like I said, dude, I was probably just making an example out of you. You don't know the backstory, dude. You got caught up in something that's been months and years going with that young gentleman that you met, Joshua. So you probably just got caught up in something, dude. I was probably just making an example out of you. But I would agree. It's probably the most isolating thing that there is. I was saying this the other day, right? I was using the example of like if you're at a backyard barbecue and you're sitting around, right, with a bunch of guys and maybe you're drinking a beer and you're just trying to do the whole guy camaraderie thing. Maybe it's your cousins, friends, whoever. And one guy's like total like leftist progressive, like voted for Biden and Kamala. And another guy's like a Trump guy and he's all into Trump. And then another guy loves Elon Musk and thinks he's great. And then another guy maybe doesn't care and just cares about football, right? But the thing is, they're all on like seemingly different sides of all these issues, but they'll be able to sit there and kind of have conversations and have a beer. When you come up as the flat earther and you throw a wrench into their entire worldview and you basically just say everything that you have been taught and that you think and believe is complete bullshit, they'll all turn against you and team up to go against you because you're basically taking their toys away. You're basically taking their whole identity. So I get the whole thing, man. It's one of the most isolating things there is. But let me ask you, because I'm trying to impart this on my listeners. Are you doing anything in your everyday life to break the gap, to, let's say, overcome the gap, overcome the distance that you have with people around you? Because I think if not, you're probably much like me and a lot of people are going to just continue in the isolation. So are you making any active steps in your life to try to like integrate with society? And if so, how's that going?
Well, first of all, I am pretty integrated in society. That's why I don't bring up flat Earth, because society
Oh, I see.
doesn't accept that. But I have tried a few things. I drew a map on a piece of paper, and I showed it to my sister. Is like, what do you think? What do you think about this? That the Earth is like what you can see on a map. I drew a flat Earth map, right? And she's like, yeah, that makes sense. And I was like, what do you think about like the idea that this is where we live? And she's like, I don't know. So I mean, I'm not trying to bash people's heads in with like, you know, the curvature, because, you know, that's for them to understand. I'm not trying to like give anybody a well, I guess, you know, you could say like, should you convert people? I guess that was what you were asking. Should you convert people?
Well,
I don't think you should.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It's kind of like trying to wake up a sleepwalking person, which is not a good thing to do. It's actually almost abusive in a way. So I'm starting to come around to your understanding about that. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't talk about it, but to try to, like, let's say metaphorically pry open somebody's third eye and to hit him over the head and make it uncomfortable for him. I will agree with you that there's probably an aspect that's abusive with that, because they're kind of sleepwalking. They're kind of in some weird hypnotic state.
Well,
And there's probably some weird consequence to
I mean, I don't
trying to
know
wake them.
about what your experience was, but my experience was, I saw like a post somewhere about flat Earth, and I'm like, and then I looked at the post and I saw a link to a forum where people were actually talking about it, and it really fucked me up. Like, it really did, because I don't know about you, but like I was like into space, into outer space, into like all the like the concessions that you would understand about outer, like the universe and everything about it. So I don't think it's responsible to like tell people that everything they've you know, really agreed upon and known in their life is completely false. I mean, like, you and I did it voluntarily, right? So I did it voluntarily. I was like you know, sniffing around and trying to find the truth as much as you can. And but I think a lot of people are not interested because it's so different than the worldview that they have. It's not mentally appropriate for them to like actually consider the issue. And I'm saying this as a person that did the thing. Like, I went through it. But I'm just saying, like, the idea that like you should, like, okay, there was a channel on YouTube that was like promoting flat Earth in Chicago, and they went around with signs and stuff, and they got hated as hell.
Wait a second. You're saying the people like on the street were kind of pretty hateful?
Well, I mean, come on. It's the implications of the flat Earth. I mean, if you're a smart individual, you can understand the implications.
Right.
So yeah, if you're walking around with a sign that says the Earth is flat, you deserve the soda that's gonna get thrown at you.
Well, I know people get very emotional. I mean, Do you remember when Austin Whitsitt did his U.S. tour?
I watched a couple of his videos. I watched the one where he was at the Grand Canyon, I think.
Right. So he went all around. He went to like, exactly. He went to all these places like Mount Rushmore. He got arrested at Mount Rushmore for speaking. So the thing is, people react emotionally. And he's just one example. I brought him up because he's probably the most, the most known of all the flat earthers right now. But any flat earther that I've seen go out and do, let's say, quote, activism, I've always seen conflict. One of my favorite YouTubers is a guy who lives in, I think he lives in Minnesota. His name's Josh. His channel's name, Authentic Intent is the name of his channel. I don't know if anybody.
I've actually met that guy in real life.
You've met Josh?
I went to the Flat Earth in 2022, I think. It was in like South Carolina. I went there.
Well, he was there because I know he was at one of the earlier ones, like before the pandemic. But you said he was in 2022. I know he spoke at one of them. So you met Josh.
Yeah.
I love Josh, but the thing about it is, he gets so much shit from people, and like he's a little snarky, which I like, and he's a little bit like, he kind of gives it to the people. And I've seen one guy picked up his phone and just threw it right in the lake. People have like thrown things at him, flipped his table, things like that. So he's another activist that I've seen who really got a lot of shit for it, because you're right. It's a weird thing. It's like I said about the barbecue, because what you're really doing is you're challenging it's basically their identity.
Yeah.
They have this whole,
like the core identity of like what you believe about the earth and understanding.
Right. And how you relate to that. And it's basically pulls the rug out, and they just typically, it's like a phenomenon. They have this emotional reaction, and it's typically anger. So what do you think is appropriate? Because I feel, though, on the other side of the coin that we're discussing is that in some ways, when people have this particular understanding that there's a responsibility to talk about it. It's the reason I have my channel. I was pushed to the point to have this channel because I said, look, I need to do something. I just can't sit here each night after night in my head and feel this way about it. So this is like my way of like coming on here and talking about these things.
I mean,
so,
that's kind of how I
ahead.
gravitated to your channel. It's like, look at this guy, it's kind of like me. I mean, you're not me, but like, it's a similar, like, what is going on? Where are we at? So, I guess like I would ask you, like, what are you trying to do with your channel? And I'm curious.
Well, I think it comes down to this. I look at myself when I was unaware of some of this information. I look at loved ones I have, people in my life, nephews, cousins, younger men that are growing up in this world. And I think if I were speaking to them, what message would I want to leave to them? Like, say I'm gone. Say all of a sudden something happens to me and I'm gone off the earth tonight or tomorrow. What would I want to have as a legacy that people can go back and see who I was, what I thought? So when I come on here and do this, a lot of it is surrounded by entertainment and alliteration and a showmanship. But that's just the way I've come to present myself. But underlying it all is me basically speaking to, I picture somebody in my head that's one of my loved ones. And I say, what would I want to say to them? What would I want them to know about my mindset, the things that I understand? And then have them have a certain impression of me. And that's what it comes down to. And I'm constantly trying to refine myself to be able to present myself in the most articulate way, the most intelligent way, to communicate to that person, my loved one or the young me. And that's why I do it. That's the underpinning that I have. I feel compelled to do it. And that's sort of where I am with this whole thing right now. But the next level is part of me wants to go out on the street and have conversations with people. But I have in the forefront of my mind the understanding that you have, knowing that it is somewhat intrusive. So I don't see myself out there with a microphone or a sign or something like that. But I would like to be, you know, like you see these YouTubers or these TikTokers, they're on the street with a microphone and they're just having conversations with people. So I would like to in some way be able to engage with people on the street that's that honors their boundaries, but at the same time places me in a situation where I'm actually available to bring some of this information. And it's not just a flat earth thing. I could talk to somebody about anything. Like I'm also way into the understanding of like secret societies, the mystery schools, what the Bible is, what it is not, at least my thoughts on it. So part of me wants to do that and present it in that type of way. But I always have that understanding that you have too, where it's like, I guess I'm not, you and I differ in this thing where I understand. Well, my idea of your mindset is the kind of whole like, okay, the universe is the way it is and everything's just okay. That it's okay that you didn't cause the problem, I didn't cause this problem, and that things are the way they are because they're supposed to be. So I have that understanding and I could hold that up. But I always weigh that against the other side that says, well, if not me, who? I could say that about you, Mike. If not Mike Cargo, who has this high level understanding about the deception of this world, then who's going to do it? What if it was just you and me, Mike? What if it wasn't like Austin Whitsitt out there going on InfoWars or Josh from Authentic Intent with his table? What if you and I were the only people with this knowledge? Would you still feel the same way?
Well, it's a great question because it's a perspective issue. If you think that you have a better perspective than other people, then you think that you should give, you know, something to the people that, you know, they deserve. You know, I've got a better perspective than you. So the way I look at it is like it's a philosophical argument, and it's probably not going to be appreciated, but a hedgehog is, you know, in the grass all the time. So, you know, most humans are not interested, right? They're just being
In the hedgehog, you're saying like the hedgehog just is doing his thing, he's living his life, and we're not even involved with it. Is that what you're saying?
And I'm saying that's for most humans too, right? They're just living in the grass. So, you know, if you want to give them something, I mean, I don't know if that would be a blessing or a curse, but you know,
right?
It's a
well. Let me ask you, Mike.
argument.
Would you said you came across this information somewhere and it led you into like a chat or like a chat board or something, but at some point somebody provided you with the information. So here's my question: why should we not have that information available for others so then they could either choose your journey or not? Because you and I and most of the people listening to us, not everybody, but most of the people listening to us right now have a similar story. They came across a certain bit of information. And again, it doesn't have to be about the FE topic. It could be about anything. And then based on that information, it led to some type of journey of growth. But without that information, it would have never led to that journey. Here's what I'm wondering with your psychology, Mike, and I'm just positing this. I'm wondering if you're looking at your life, because I do the same thing with my life. And I look at where, let's say, the price of truth has gotten me, because it appears to be a trade-off like anything in life. Meaning to say, before I came upon these understandings, I was a married man with a nice career, a nice home, and a nice family. And now I have none of those things, but I have a greater understanding, maybe a greater consciousness within me. So I know that there's a trade-off. But I'm wondering with you, if you're not experiencing something psychologically where you're looking at your life and you're wondering, damn, would I have been better off if I've never even walked this road? What do you have to say about that?
That's so profound. That's kind of like why I found you, I guess. It's kind of like a sad tale gives you like a ladder, so you understand something, but you're only given a ladder of like as much as you've tried. It's actually kind of something I've thought about a lot, is like what life is worth living. I mean, you have to understand that you can end your life at any time. But
Right.
But what life is worth living? So it seems like if truth is something that's real, right? And you're allowed to proclaim truth, then why wouldn't you do that? Even if, like, I'm looking at the screen right now. I'm in a bunker. My cargo topics right in a bunker. I can scream all I want, but the idea of something being true, it's not going to be as helpful to living a life in a mansion. That's what I would say about that.
Right. That's one of the reasons why I say typically women, not all, but typically women tend to, they appeal to consensus, they appeal to authority, which I think is one of the biggest issues, because if you want the men to, let's say, comply, one of the things you can do is play on the women, play on the children, and then the men can justify their compliance by saying, well, I'm a family man, I don't want to lose my wife, I don't lose my kids, and it becomes a hard road. But it's not all women. And speaking about women, the lovely stationary pizza seems to have some pushback against some of the things that you're saying. So maybe, I don't know if you want to address what some of the things she's saying.
Mike, you don't seem like a flat earther. You seem disingenuous. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I think she was pushing back a little bit last time you were up here too, if I remember.
Well, I guess I'm not. Well, I would say I'm not a flat earther. If flat earther was giving me a model, I mean, I don't.
Right. So you don't like the
model.
you're not going to put a label on yourself, and you're not going to do that. So
But
interestingly enough, she's probably reacting to, she probably feels very passionate, much like myself, about the subject, and feels as though some of the things you're saying, she might feel is, I don't know if disingenuous, I wouldn't agree with that word, but she might disagree with your approach, where I'm a little different. I could hold your approach up and I could weigh it, because many of the things you say, I see them in myself. Because I can look at people, and I could look at people and say, well, who am I to rock people's boat? And who am I to try to break somebody's illusion with something that I hold as truth, which I can't know is true. I might think a thing is true, but that doesn't mean I'm right. It's just when I look at the world, this is the way I see it. These are the things that I accept about my reality. These are the things I don't, but that doesn't necessarily make me right. So I can see your perspective, where you say, who am I to go imposing these things on people? And I could look at parts in my history of my life where I was presenting things to people that I look back now and realize I was so far off with my understanding. I could recall specific moments trying to talk to friends like 15, 20 years ago. And I was telling them about all the conspiracies I was into at the time, right? I was telling them about Planet Nibiru, and I was telling them about,
right?
Yeah, I was telling about how the fucking Anunnaki, and there's a second sun and a binary star, and some of that has some validity, but a lot of it was way off. But to me, that was truth at the time. So I could see what you're saying, where you're like, look, how do I fucking know what's true? And who am I to rock the boat on people? Yeah. So I can see both sides of it. So I wouldn't go so far as to call you disingenuous like maybe she did, but I understand where she's coming from an emotional level, saying, damn, Mike, Like, okay, if not you, if not Z, then who else? Who else is going to talk to the people and say, hey, you guys might be
Well,
under a mind control that you can't even begin to start to understand.
how do I become genuous?
So you're taking issue with the word disingenuous. So how
I
do you
mean, come
become?
on.
It's probably genuine would probably be the opposite or the
I mean,
antithesis.
it's sort of like I take pride in like being honest about what I believe and what I say.
Right. Like see, Christy Lee Dolls wants me on the street, right? Z on the street. And she says she feels men have an obligation to speak up. It's so funny how these ladies are so willing to just put like us guys out there in the line of fire. She's like, yeah, get on the streets, Z. Like you have an obligation to speak up. I'm just gonna sit home and I'll watch you and I'll chat and I'll support you. I'll get my pom-poms out, Z, and I'll cheer for you. Hey, Christy, if you really want to support me, get rid of that boyfriend that you have going on. And maybe support me in a way that's tangible, okay? In a way that I could, touch and feel and experience, Christy Lee Dolls. If you're going to support me, give me some real support. I mean, I appreciate your well wishes, but come on.
You need some love. I mean, that's just the bottom line. Whoever's talking, give them some love.
Right. Well, she knows. But I see, Mike, I don't expect love from these ladies. Like, yeah, your mom loves you. You know what I mean? You might have like love from like a friend. These ladies have no love for us men. Hey, guys, if you're listening, you have to lower your expectations when it comes to the whole love thing regarding these ladies. So luckily, I don't have that expectation, so I'm not going to be let down.
Well, I think they have a capacity to give love. I mean, that's why they're here. Is to give love.
Well, love,
not
a little L, Mike. It's a little L love. It's not a big L. It's love like, oh, I love you, but it seems to be conditional. And is that really love?
Well,
if love is conditional, can we actually call it love?
I mean, like giving you flowers is like a token appreciation. It's something.
Right.
But I'm not saying that, like, a girl is going to love you because.
Oh, well, let's talk about you, Mike. You said that you're basically in a bunker and you're feeling isolated. So what's your whole thing? Give us like a little understanding of your life.
I fucked up because I didn't marry the girl that I fell in love with high school.
Don't worry about it. It probably wouldn't have worked out anyway, Mike. Don't beat yourself up on that one.
I beat myself up 100 times a day about it.
All right, so let's get into it. Well, okay, it's funny because I could relate to it. There was I was with a beautiful, wonderful, woman when I guess I was in my late 20s, early 30s, and she was probably like 4 years younger than me. So we're like about the same age, right? Relatively speaking. And I look back on it, I'm like, oh, like if I was going to do the thing, I mean, I've been married, but like it didn't work out. But I was like, oh, that's probably when I should have did like the thing was like with her. But then I think about it, I'm like, that wouldn't have worked out. And I'm just like romanticizing the whole thing and how it would have went. It probably would have ended in a train wreck like most relationships do. All right, so you had a girl in high school and she was like, what? Like your soulmate, your twin flame or something?
Yeah, she probably was. And I fucked it up.
How did you fuck it up?
Well, it's okay because like both of my sisters are now. One sister's married with a kid, and the other sister is getting married. So, it's fine. I don't have to perform. Like the problem with people that have caring parents is that they want you to have grandchildren. And
right.
I had two sisters, and they contributed to that. And I don't think I will ever find a girl that I actually loved like the girl that I was with in high school.
I mean, you might be right, but because you're not the person you were then, you're more, I guess, maybe less naive, more mature. How could you ever look, man? That kind of love, that Romeo and Juliet love, that's high school. That's made for high school stuff. Do you know Romeo and Juliet were like 13 years old, like in the book? People don't know that, dude. we live in this culture where they've like over romanticized. And by the way, guys, it's not pedophilia if you're also 13. So all you sickos that come to my channel, like young love is not pedophilia. So anybody who wants to get crazy, but we live in a culture, man, where we have these like 40 and 50 and even 60-year-olds, and they have this like idea that they're still looking for love and they're going to find that person and they're going to do it on social media. And come on, man, is that really something that we should expect?
Not for me. I've accepted I'm gonna grow old alone, and the last girl I was with was a psych nurse. I guess that's more accurate.
Right, your last like partner, girlfriend, so to speak, was a psych nurse.
Yeah, and she had children of her own. And
that's a tough situation, man.
Well,
That's
I'm just saying, I'm not interested. I'm just not interested. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, nurses are tough, man.
Well, hold on. You're in your 30s, Z. I'm in my 30s.
I'm 45.
Oh, okay. Well, same difference. I mean, like, how many girls are you gonna find walking about that you would think that, oh, I would love to be with her?
No, that's the thing. That's why, look, relationships don't work out. The people may stay married. It doesn't mean like it's working out. Look, it's only in your mind. I don't mean you. I mean the proverbial you. It's only in one's mind that they can have this like lovey relationship. And that's something that TV taught us and has been indoctrinated.
Well,
I don't see.
I'll tell you, Z. I have two sisters, so I have a good perspective on like relationships that are good. And my sister was married, and they had a child like 2 years ago, and my other sister is married, and they're probably going to have another kid. Like, I think it's something that you have that is preventing you from believing that you can have a good relationship.
I mean, you might be right. I'm willing to accept that. I'm okay with that.
It should be. You should accept that. I mean, like, then you could have a good relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get that. I understand that.
Like, it's not all doom and gloom. Even though I'm still single, even though I'm so exasperated because I never married my high school sweetheart. Oh my God, what am I gonna do? But that's not the truth. Everyone has a different path.
You and I can agree on that. All right, Mike, it was good talking to you, and I'm glad you persevered because I kind of put you through some shit. And I do that, Mike. I test people. It's just people come up here, and sometimes I have to see like where people stand and stuff. And so try not to take it personally, man. But I appreciate you coming up here.
No, I don't take it personally.
Yeah, yeah. All right, I'm gonna move on to my next guest, and then I got to get to the news.
Take care.
Much love. Mike Cargo, everybody. Much love, Mike. I'm glad you came up. It was an improvement over our last conversation. As you elucidated, it was a bit, let's say, adversarial. But people know I'm touchy about certain subjects. And Mike got caught up in in one of those subjects. Much love, though. Look, we're all just people. We're people who need people. And I love the lovely ladies of the Z Show. Thank you all so much because you're holding out hope that I someday will find the love of my life and meet my twin flame. Let me ask you, ladies, though, I mean, is it just limited to one potential suitor? Can we talk about like twin flames, plural? I don't want to limit myself. Look, I limited myself my whole life. There's nothing to stop us besides our mentality. So I'm shooting for the stars when it comes to these ladies. All right, let me let up my next guest. Yes, Christy says, don't push your luck, Z. Well, who knows, Christy? Come on. My next guest, he's somewhat controversial. My next guest was up here yesterday, and the audience reacted in a particular way, not uniformly, but there was a number of, let's say, dissenters to the man who calls himself King Stephen, who apparently is from the channel The Sanity Machine. You know, we don't shy away from controversy here. Let's let him back up. Stephen, welcome back to Z Show.
Hey, Z, what's up?
Howdy. What's on your mind tonight?
Quite a few things. I did a premiere of our little chat. I recorded it, and then I gave a few comments and had a chat. Well, you know what a premiere is, I'm sure. It's just recording with the chat, but I would like to have you on my channel at some point, maybe to talk for like an hour or something like that.
I mean, I'm not against that. What do you? What kind of topics would you like to cover? Let's kind of brainstorm here. Like, what do you think?
Whatever you're into. I mean, you're into flat Earth and covering fake NASA and all that. If you wanted to talk about that, if you wanted to discuss a little bit more thoughts of the afterlife, recycling, reincarnation, stuff that's in my wheelhouse or up my alley. I mean, I'm kind of an old veteran at this stuff. I'm not new to anything. I've been doing this for a long time. I knew about the New World Order when George Bush Sr. was giving his NWO speeches in 1991. So I'm not young. I'm 88. So I've been doing this for quite a while, and I'm open to talk about whatever. But stationary pizza, I just caught the tail end of that. I wish I had arrived here a little bit sooner, because he had commented. So I don't even know who that is, but he had commented something in the chat yesterday towards me, something vitriolic, and I was just like, what? I don't even know who that is, but I don't know who some of your audience are that were hostile towards me. It was interesting, but it doesn't bother me.
Well, like you said, you represent. Look, if I come on your show, it will cause quite a ripple amongst the panelverse. I will tell you that, Stephen, for sure.
Not on my channel. My people are my regulars are very open-minded, and they would give you a chance and not be insulting and rude. I've had a gay Satanist on my channel with antlers on his head. I've had just about everybody on my channel that will come on. I'm trying to get actual demons on my channel to come on, but they're afraid to come on my show. So I don't.
Who knows? You might have had some. Maybe you just didn't know it. There seems to be a lot of demons running around YouTube.
Demons running around for sure on YouTube. Wearing meat suits, but shout out to Britt. Britt said they don't get it. She's from my channel. I claim Britt as one of my own. She's relatively new to my channel, but she's a regular now. And I think my audience would be very open to hearing your thoughts, even if they disagree. Smith was banned from my channel. There's a few people here that were banned, so they don't, they get banned and then they get they hold a grudge or whatever.
That makes two. Smith has been banned from my channel no less than 3 times, but then he comes up and then he does a mea culpa thing, and so Smith and I have a complicated relationship, but we're on stationary terms now, so to speak. So we're kind of at some kind of, let's say, detente. Oh, here's the thing, Stephen. What's the best way for me to contact you? Should I just pop on you if I want to? Here's the thing. I've limited my collaborations recently. You know why, Stephen? Because they don't typically turn out well. And I typically find they end in like disaster and then some weird fucking metaversal beef. So like I said, I'm not against it, but I have to like weigh all these things. Like what's in it for me? I don't mean like money and shit, but would anybody go, okay, well, what am I going to gain? Yeah, like I'm intrigued to go on your channel because I know, like you said, your reputation precedes you and you have like somewhat of a name. Like I knew your name when you popped up on here. So right there, that's intriguing. You have like an interesting presentation, like, you have something, but then I have to weigh that.
What would you
so
get?
Would you want me just to like pop on your, well, no, I'm not asking. That's like more of a rhetorical question for me. I'm like, that's with anything because
it's an open invitation, man. You can hop on anytime. I usually
all right,
post
cool.
a link,
That's what I'm looking for.
We don't have to schedule it. If you just saw me streaming at some point and said, hey, I'd like to come on and talk to King Stephen for a bit about whatever's whatever topics are on your mind, whether they're old, new truth topics, whatever the case. I just think it'd be cool to have you as a guest. And I think the exchange of knowledge itself would be beneficial to both. And it would also, I have 3,300 subs, actually 3,333. So it's all threes right now. It's the double 33.
Steven, you got to get that number changed. People are
No,
gonna
I
go crazy
love that
about
number. It's a powerful number, 33. I end a lot of my videos in 33. I think the panelverse would call it trolling, and I would call it not being afraid of numbers, taking back the power. Say a lot of the people on the panelverse don't understand. They run away from numbers, right? I don't run away from numbers. I end videos in 33 seconds. I've made tons of videos that are 33 minutes, 33 seconds, or an hour long, 33 minutes, 33 seconds. I do that intentionally so that people that are kind of at a low level of being like the ones that will attack and point, say, Freemason, Illuminati, they see the number. I don't want them on my channel anyway. You know what I'm saying? It screens them out. It's a filtering system on my channel.
And I wanted to bring up something you said.
I
wanted to bring up something you said and just kind of jump on that. You said, like, I want to paraphrase, but you said, like, you think the conversation would be good and the information. And I could relate to that because when you can have a conversation with somebody, if they might be able to bring something that otherwise would not have been present if the conversation was never engaged in. And even if it's uncomfortable, or even if it's this, people tend to bring things that are unexpected and there's value in it. So I do see that side of it. But I have somebody backstage that wants to come up, and they're very likely were motivated to come up because of you. So maybe we can engage in this a bit. Hopefully we could be civil and stuff. Yeah, hopefully guests backstage, we could be civil and, maybe, I don't know, have some kind of discourse that is positive in some way. And the link's in the chat for anybody else who wants to come up. I do have a little bit more time before I move on to the news eventually.
I just want to comment, though, on what you said just a few minutes, like a half minute ago. I think the crossover would be great. I think it would reach some new audience, you and me. I think it would be beneficial to both channels and also to our knowledge in itself, mine, yours. What else? I think a lot of the panelverse is kind of in a bubble. It's where they kind of stick to their own. So I do think I agree with what you said about how it would kind of broaden things. And there's no harm in causing a bunch of ripples, but there's no pressure if you don't want to do it. But if you decide one day that you want to hop on as a guest and just hop on and talk for half an hour, whatever, I always have the link posted pretty much every live stream. I'll pin it at the top. And I just allowed anybody to go on as long as they don't porn bomb or do something stupid like screech or blow a whistle or do dumb things like that. As long as it's a conversation, which of course I wouldn't expect you to do something like that based on what I've seen. I'm just saying those are the only people that really get kicked off, or somebody that tries to use words that will get a strike against my channel. Then I kick them, which is why some people in your chat right now have been banned. They said certain words that have gotten. I've lost 2 channels already, man. I had 3 channels. 2 have been taken down. So
look, some of my ardent supporters are in it, like Ruled by Saturn, who's been one of my longest listeners, says that would be awesome, Z. And
I
this
just don't
person
want to
here,
lose my channel,
right?
So
this
I'm not
person
saying
here
about
wants
you,
to know
but
the
the
name of
people
your
I've kicked,
channel.
like what's his name in the chat? 6079 Smith, Big Tree, Big Drink Tea's been banned. There's a bunch in there that are disgruntled people that have been banned from my channel. So that's what happens. It's a lot of butthurt people. So anyway, that's the
London
thing.
Man's here. London Man says that he got the whole community blocked. What is he referencing there?
Whole community? Not at all. I don't have the whole community blocked. I asked London McDouchebag. I asked him on my channel one time after he made videos about me. He's made videos about me, which is fine. Doesn't bother me. But he came on and I said to him something about what race are you? Because he was using a old white guy's picture with a beard, and I said that's not you, and he denied it. And then he wouldn't admit to being a black man, and he said he's not black, and he was just lying. So it's just like, I'm done. You can't I'm not going to pull teeth if I'm going to.
That sounds weird because I like London Man, and I think the picture you're talking about is the Crater Earth guy. I forget his name.
Yeah.
He's like,
he uses his name and picture, and I said to him, "What's your name, man?" And you know, you're not white, you're black, right? And he said he's not black. So he just kept lying on my show, and I was just like, "Yeah, I'm done." I mean, this guy can't even answer a question. So it went on for like 10 minutes. It wasn't just a couple seconds. Like he was just. There's no point. He couldn't be honest. But anything I asked him, and it's like, you sound like a black Jamaican living in London or UK. James Terrell. Yes, Zero. That's the name, Bex. Exactly. I couldn't think of it, so thank you. James Terrell. He said he was James. He's just playing stupid games, and I just don't like. Other channels can do that, but my channel, I guess I wouldn't say it's all serious because I do have fun and laughing, but. Anyway, we joke around and stuff too, but I don't know. He just was a piss poor guest, to put it that way. And he's been talking about me for, I don't know, 5-6 months now. So he's kind of obsessed. But hey there, Smithy, what's up?
Yeah, what's up, man? I just want to say, no, you can cut the music. I'm not doing a breakdown here. That's more for my breakdowns. I got plenty of those, but yeah, I think London's all right.
Yeah, we like London Man. I mean, here's the thing, Steven. Here's what I'll say.
Neither does Bex.
Look,
by the way,
I try not to get into middle people's beef here because I've been doing this long enough where it becomes crazy and then the beef changes and I stuck up for somebody, but then they're together and they turn against me and shit.
Oh,
but
no problem.
I'll just say this. I've never had anything but a great experience with London Man. But like I said, I'm not getting in the middle of people's beef. Go ahead, Smith W. And
I'm not
play your
butthurt,
music because it is your
I
music.
just want to say, Z, I'm not asking you to get
music,
involved.
though, because he's talking over my music.
I'm not saying you are. Go ahead, Smith.
Well, just so I'm not butthurt, but I did hear my name, so I did go up there. I'm not butthurt, but you are allowed to say on YouTube Hitler. You are. I'm not going to get him a strike. Doing a 10-hour
I've already lost the channel for that. I already lost
10-hour stream hating on someone else is probably what gets your channel taken down.
A what? A what hour stream?
A 10-hour rage-filled stream where you just hate on somebody for
Who
10 hours.
was I hating on for 10 hours?
Whoever.
Can you name someone or?
I'm not going there. People know.
People know, really?
Yeah.
Who have I hated on for 10 hours?
I don't know, bro. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Can you point me to the link or tell me the name of the person that was hated on for 10 hours?
Well, somebody who's actually pretty mature and is already who just drops it because she's a nice lady.
Oh.
Yeah. Other people, but that's not what I do.
You have a beef with me based on someone else then? Is that what you're saying?
No, but you do say that you have an open panel. I went to your channel. I said the word Hitler, and you said the guy with the small Austrian mustache, and you booted me because you're afraid that I had something interesting. I might have broke some of your cult members free from their grip.
They're not cult leader. They're not cult.
What do you start every channel with now? Ever since I said that, what is the tag on your screen every time? Cult leader, fucking idiot. Come on.
I thought this was going to be
civil. I call it like I see it.
I thought this was going to be civil, but I guess not.
No, this is being civil.
Oh,
this is civil.
Well, fuck you then.
No, I didn't say fuck you. I said you're fucking idiot.
I said fuck you just now when you said something about me. I'm allowed to run my channel however the fuck I want.
You can. You can look weak. You can look weak, and you can play with
weak at all. I
you
lost
can
channels already.
And you can talk crap everywhere. But I'll stick up for London. I'll stick up for London. London's cool. London's got some respectability.
Yelling really is
weirdo that plays
civil.
with
Do you know
puppets.
what civil means? This isn't civil. This is stupid.
I don't care. You're a weirdo that plays with puppets, and I see
There
the
you go.
chat. They think you're weird.
You're a loser.
Wait, what's the puppet
There you
comment,
go.
Smith?
You'd
What's
have
the
to see,
reference
dude.
there?
He's got all kinds of streams where he's playing with puppets, man. It's fucking weird.
All
It's some
kinds
weird
of streams. Go ahead.
I
And
like
watch my
puppets.
streams.
Yeah. Do you?
All right, look, here's the
Oh,
thing.
this is as
Look,
civil as Smith gets. Oh, okay. I had the wrong definition. I
Yeah.
thought he was going to be civil, but fuck
Yeah,
you.
Civil War. Civil War, bud.
There you go. Fuck you then.
There you go.
See, I don't
There you
do
go.
this
All right,
drama shit
much
on my
love,
channel.
gentlemen.
I don't do
Yeah,
this.
I got to get to the news.
I don't do this on my channel.
I don't do this on my channel. I just hate on
My
people for
channel's
10 hours
different.
straight.
All
And then
right,
for
you're
some
gonna give me a
reason,
headache.
for
Brian,
some
gives
reason
me that
she
fan.
forgives you. I
Well,
don't understand that, but she forgives you.
Smith,
And it's because she's a
Smith.
nice person.
You sound
It's 'cause
butthurt.
she's a
You
nice
sound
person.
butthurt. Go
All
cry in
right,
the
hold
corner.
on.
I'm
I
not.
thought you
Gonna
were
give
going to
me
be
the
civil, but you
headache.
can't be. You can't be civil. Keep yelling.
See, have some
I don't do
discernment.
this
Dude.
on
This
my
guy is
channel.
disgusting.
I
don't
don't
care
do
if he's
this
got
on my. You're a
50,000
loser.
subscribers. I'll call
You're a
it like I
loser.
see it. And that's
All
what I
right.
do.
Got buttered.
I'm
You
not
got banned.
cupcaking to nobody.
You'll never be back on my channel because keep watching.
I don't
you.
want
You're
to
banned.
be. Why
Okay.
would I want to
All
be?
right,
banned.
Smith,
Keep
wrap
yelling.
it up.
Keep yelling.
Smith and
You got
Steven,
triggered.
I gotta move on. I can't sit here
Crybaby
all
got
night.
triggered. Anyway,
So,
I gave you an
here's what I'm
open
gonna say.
education, Z. If you
Here
ever
comes
watch
a
my
10-hour
channel,
stream
it's
from
very
Steven
different.
tomorrow.
There's no
10-hour
insulting, yelling,
stream.
drama, no butthurt
Hold on, Smith.
crybabies. That just doesn't happen on my channel. I don't do that on my channel.
All right, man.
But-
I appreciate, dude. I appreciate it, man.
Just hop on anytime. I've had lots of people on, and I think it'd be good for your channel, and I think it'd be good for you. It might open your eyes to some more things that you might not have looked into.
Yeah, fair enough, man. I appreciate it, man. All right, much love.
All right, see you later.
That's King Steven. Like I said, man, let me let Smith back up.
Oh, there we
Smith,
go.
you there?
Yeah.
You were quite passionate there for a second. Here, I guess here's my question to you, Smith. If he banned you from his channel, all right, move on, right? What's the deal?
I'm over it. I just heard him say my name, so I'm like, yeah, I'm right here, bud. What's up? What's up? Because he didn't have a good reason. Like I said, that's not what gets your channel taken down.
Well, I get it. But maybe he just, here's the thing. People's channels are their channel. They could do what they want.
I don't
with
care.
it.
Like, I'm not switching accounts and going back to his channel. Like, please let no, dude. You guys fucking weird.
Here's the one thing I will say, though. I would agree with you that, London Man seems to be pretty even keeled, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't like, I don't know. He doesn't seem like one to like start a lot of conflicts and stuff. So I don't know what that whole thing was about London Man.
Makes you question, kind of. And like I said, and I'm not going to say their name, but they know who I'm talking about. Nice lady. And after all the stuff she's gone through with all the hours and hours of streams, and he's trying to say that me mentioning Hitler is what got it taken down. No, it didn't. It didn't. Right.
So how are you, Smith? How are you? I can't have people. I'll get a headache and stuff. It's too much for me when people are screaming. Like
you can only hear so much
conflict
before you got to call it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. How are you? How's everything in your world?
I'm all right. I haven't switched my name from the other night. It's Smith and Wesson. I'm not in that mood tonight. Here's a quick one for you. I'll drop.
What do you mean? Were you all fired up the other night somewhere and you went with the gun?
Oh, I was fired up, man. But I'm good. So you have, I don't know if anybody's seen the Economist cover. It says Brazil Rising. It's got a picture of Christ the Redeemer statue, which was installed on Bill Gates's birthday. It has a Christ the Redeemer statue on the Economist cover, and it says Brazil's rising from the founding of Brazil until Hitler's birthday is 24333 days, and Brazil's country code is 55, like SS, like a Nazi, and their capital is Brasilia. Kind of looks like the word Braille, like blind people use. Can you not see? You know what I mean? Just a quick one, man, off the top of my head. So I got a whole thing. Maybe I'll drop a new one here in the next day or two. It's about Columbia University and the District of Columbia and Columbia, the country. It's pretty interesting. It'll be real short.
I'm way into the Columbia thing, man. The idea of like how DC was formed in 1871 as its own separate entity.
Yeah.
And its flag has 3 stars, and it stands for the 3 city-states of Vatican, City of London, and DC. And apparently, Smith, they're not even governed by the Constitution. It's some weird Roman fucking laws that they're under. It collects something. It's insane.
Where was the original school shooting?
Columbine. Yeah. Some people are saying they need their calculator to do your.
That's
your
just
breakdown.
Melanie Moran, but she lives in San Francisco. She hates on me, but I've seen some of the other stuff that those channels push. So that's ridiculous. I can't get on Ceiling Fan. Cool. I can't get on Ceiling Fan's channel. It's all good. But I see the shitty pushes. It's not Christian.
The ceiling fans still do a thing. I don't know.
Melanie's living in San Francisco, which is about the worst place in the country. Beautiful area, but it's disgusting because there's no men there. There's no men.
Wait, are you saying Melanie's a ceiling fan fan?
And I'm not against the guy. I found his channel a couple weeks ago, and he has some interesting stuff. Well,
I know he's very Christian.
I clicked on her channel, and she was at some march that was in the San Francisco area.
Interesting. So the only thing I know about Ceiling Fan is he knows of me, and behind the scenes, it's got back to me that he didn't have like the nicest things to say about yours truly. That's all I know.
Yeah, but I've seen some of the other shitty pushes, so it's all good. You don't need to get your calculator out, but I've seen the other people you support, Melanie. Disgusting. It's disgusting. You need a man in your life.
I don't know. She's kind of attractive, and I think she's single. I mean, I'm not like involved in her life and stuff.
I'm not being weird. My wife can hear me. Yeah, she's attractive, but she needs a man. It's obvious. Okay, peace out, man.
All right, Smith. Much love. Smith W, everybody. Got to go at it with Steven. So interesting, this whole metaversal experience, man. The thing about like doing collabs and stuff anymore is I've been burnt so many times on collabs that I'm hesitant. And it's nothing against Steven. He actually appears to be highly knowledgeable, but I've just been burnt with collabs where it's like it just hasn't been like worth it in a lot of ways. But I'm not completely turned off to him, so I'm just trying to keep my mind open about everything. I'm understanding more and more that this whole experience here, it's don't judge me, says Z has has PTSD from collabs. You could say that, don't judge me. What I find is like people just retain their audience. It's like people just end up retaining their audience anyway. It's like everybody at the end of it just goes back to like their corners where they were anyway. And maybe there was some like trauma that ensued or drama. So it's like, it's a whole thing. Oh shit, look who's here. Let's see if it's the real Ceiling Fan man. Oh shit, I just hid Ceiling Fan man. I just hid you by accident. Oh fuck. Ceiling, then come up and let's have a convo. I just hid you by accident. Hold on. I tried highlighting your fucking thing and I hid you. I feel bad now. Actually, I tried going to your channels. What I tried doing. Now, I would probably collaborate with Ceiling Fan Man. Look, Christy loves him, and I just hit him. I'm going to put the link in to see if he wants to come up. Somebody must have messaged him. Hold on, let me let me go behind the scenes and unblock him. And I got to go to my YouTube studio. I don't want to offend Ceiling Fan Man. I think I blocked him. Well, if that is you, Ceiling Fan Man, well, good. Maybe we should have a conversation soon. Because I had messages on the backside that said that maybe you didn't like me so much. Which is fine, but it's just, you know, I just registered that. But people say a lot of things. Let me see here. No, I'm backstage. Maybe I should unban a couple other people since I'm back here. Maybe now that I'm in my settings, I'll put it up to the audience. Because there's some people that are in the Z dungeon that maybe I could let them out. Yeah, here we go. All right. So I banned Splicer Bear. He's a bear and I banned him. But I banned him for the Josh thing. So I don't know, Splicer Bear, if I should let you out or not. I'm not sure. Most of these are just sock accounts. Yeah, here's ceiling fan. All right. All right, so ceiling fan man should be unblocked at this point. Who else is back here? Does anybody in the chat know Splicer Bear? And if you have strong feelings on whether or not I should let him out, let me know. If anybody wants to speak up for Splicer Bear, now's your chance. Who else is in here? Oh, the Bear Jew's in here. Uncle Rick. If anybody wants to advocate for Bear Jew, you could do it now. Feel free. I won't hold it against you. If anybody has any strong feelings for Lex Animata, if you know them from the chats, again, speak now. Special K is banned. I banned her. If anybody wants to. There's some people that are never coming out. Who else is here that I would consider letting out? Illumitami. If anybody feels strongly about letting Illumitami out of the dungeon, let me know. God, and 52 more. You know what's funny? I went so long doing my show with some ethos about like never banning people. And then I realized that wasn't going to hold up. Gigi Abby Lynn is banned. You can let me know if you want Gigi out. Joe Cool, the original Joe Cool, is banned. So is Lindsay Smith. And Clint. Clint, the Z Show Aging Adonis. I have him banned. So again, this is your opportunity. I will be taking solicitations from the audience. Let me see what you guys are saying. Sean says keep Tommy locked up. Emilio says bring Joe back. Yeah, Emilios doesn't like when I ban people, but Rule by Saturn says seems like you made the right choices, Z. Yeah. Steve says unban them all. Why though? Some people say Tommy's hilarious and nuts. I think Tom should be let back. Moonlight says Kay and Tommy. And Tommy. And a lot of votes for Special K and Illumitami. A lot of them. Somewhere in Time says Kay isn't a threat. It's not that she's a threat. It's when people come in for months and months on end and they just have a certain energy. Mad Mac is voting for Uncle Rick. Somebody says bring back Party Poet. Party Poet's not banned. He's not banned. Ceiling Fan says, can we try another time? Yes, Ceiling Fan. Much love. This is the first time I've talked to you. I like to have peace amongst flat earthers. That's one of my things. I do not like conflict with flat earthers. It's the thing I hate the most because there's too much going on with the flat earth community. So yeah, that sounds good. I'm with that. Somewhere in Time says that she once knocked herself out with a ceiling fan. That's happened to me, but I didn't knock myself out. It's one of the dumber things I've ever done. It's one of the things you do it and you go, how did I just do that? Why did I get up on this like stepping stool and forget to shut the fan off? All right. So I'm guessing like Melanie reached out to Ceiling Fan Man and he jumped on. All right, cool. That's another flat Earth conversation I could look forward to. There's a few of them I have. Oh, run Boston Bear. Are you still here? If you are, run Boston Bear, and you're listening, just comment quickly. I have Splicer Bear in the Z Show dungeon. But if you advocate for him, Boston Bear, I'll let him out. I just assume all you bears know each other. So so I'm not sure, but all right. So Rose seems to be a Ceiling Fan Man. I don't know if you saw it, Rose, but Ceiling Fan Man showed up tonight and said he wants to have a convo. Well, he said he's open to a convo and he enjoys the show. And then he says he's not part of the flat Earth community. Well, that's probably a positive, Ceiling Fan Man. That flat Earth community is a rough community. They're kind of nasty to each other. Look, Rose says, I love Ceiling Fan Man. He's the best. So a lot of positives. Melanie says he's a legend. But I don't blame you for not wanting to associate with the flat Earth community. They're very vicious. I was listening today to some flat earthers, and they're just like ripping on other people. A lot of it just reeks of jealousy and haterade. Melanie Moran says the flat Earth community is a joke. Yeah, but Melanie Moran, you're not like a flat earther, really. I don't pick that up in you. So yeah, like Jay says, Z, when you going to give a flat earther test to see if some are true flat earthers? Well, I might have to give it to Melanie because I don't think Melanie is like a flat earth person. She doesn't have a flat earthy vibe to her. So she said nobody wants to hear about flat. See, that's your problem, Melanie, is you don't understand like the flat earth mindset. We know it's stupid. She says nobody wants to hear about it because you don't quote believe in it as if it requires belief. She said, with all due respect, you really don't know me. No, Melanie, I'm just reading like what you're saying. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you blatantly said, I mean, right here, I'm looking at what you said. Nobody wants to hear about flat Earth anymore. So, I mean, I'm reading your words. And I said, you don't seem like a flat earther. You could either confirm or deny that. She said, Mel's definitely FE. Even I know that. Okay. All right. So a lot of people are speaking up and saying, no, indeed, she is a flat earther. Yeah, Melanie, I know nobody wants to hear it anymore. But isn't that the issue? People don't want to hear a lot of things. People don't want to hear about a lot of like hard truths. But I get it. I understand where you're coming from. So I get that. Yeah. No, I understand. I get it. A lot of it's kind of like disappointing. When I first came into this whole thing, I had like this idea in my head about like, oh, there's this community of people and there's going to be, and it's not just the FE thing. It's like the whole truther thing. And now I was going to find like my community. Like in some way there was going to be some solidarity to this whole thing. And there's really not. It's a little disappointing, but now I'm understanding it more. All right, let's read what Melanie says, because Melanie, she typically doesn't come up on panels. So she says, I helped edit an FE book that my friend wrote. The bottom line is we know that we don't live on a spinning ball, but nobody can claim they know the true shape of this place. Fair enough, Melanie. Fair enough. Touche. More and more, I'm agreeing with that line of thought. I'm tired of people telling me about what I think too. So, all right, I got to get to the news, but let me bring up Roper. Roper, are you there? I got to get to the news.
Oh, okay. I was following up on what Harmon said the other day about Bundy's and the story from there. If you want to hear that, or some other time.
What story did Harmon?
Oh, you remember the Bundys? Harmon was talking about the Bundys the other day. The story behind that was he had leased land in Nevada, and the BLM was taking it back, and it was almost like a Minuteman militia. You didn't hear much about it because they didn't want you to. But the BLM, they're all there, stationed above him, taking his cattle and everything on the highway and pointing.
Oh, wait, hold on. Let me prep the crowd. Right, that was the situation. What state was that? Nevada?
I think it was Nevada, yeah.
Right. So you're saying there was an issue with these. They were like cattle grazers or whatever they were, and it was about open land and grazing, and it led to the death of one of the members. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the situation. Is that I was just going to mention is the bunch of them got above the feds and and they quit and left because they got the drop on them basically above the feds were on the highway above, pointed rifles down at these metal protectors down at the Bundys, and they were taking their cattle, everything, and all the locals got the drop on the feds, so they left. Well, one of the organizers was I believe his nephew. Well, so they left Bundys alone. They're still on to him though. They're still on to him. But anyway, that's continuation story. So they got the drop on him. They left. Later on, that nephew was driving down the highway with his family in the Suburban, and they stopped him, got all around him, and they showed this FBI agent pull out. And literally, before this, hardly ever do you see anybody on TV that's shot dead. They were sending a message. They show him that FBI agent shot him dead right there on major TV, one of the alphabet channels, all the alphabet.
Interesting. It sounds like the whole thing I was showing about like Ruby Ridge and Waco. It's almost like when the feds want to flex their muscles, it's more about sending a message than justice. It's just to create the expectations like, no. We're the ones with the power. Like, you're not going to mess with us, and this is what happens. I agree about the message. So
they're still.
What was the issue? It was about what, public land versus private land and free range grazing and the things like that.
Yeah, they were taking it away from him illegally,
right?
And everybody stood up against him and got him. That's why they did that too. It was literally on TV. They showed him. And they never. I go, this is why they're showing it, because they never did. So now they're still on one of the grandsons who had moved to Idaho to get away from everything. The grandson, Amon Bundy, actually he ran for governor in Idaho, and that he got a pretty good percentage vote. But I watched one time just because he was doing a live stream, and he was up in the balcony, just sitting there amongst a bunch of people, not doing anything, watching all the senators and all the representatives doing their thing. One of them walked up and picked him out of the crowd and made him leave. And they were picking, and so they're just after him. So shortly after this, one of the people he knew, this hospital, I'm not going to repeat the name, in Boise, came and took a child away from the parents, and it was all live streamed, showed it all happen. There was nothing wrong with the kid. So anyway, and so Ammon, the grandsons, stood up against them, and the grandfather of that child, they basically have taken Ammon Bundy's ranch and farm away from him totally. Took his son's money out of his bank account. They gave it back because there was such a hullabaloo, and have not quit with harassing them. And the guys we got a live stream here. I think it's AAMON Bundy. If you want to catch up, he offered $10,000 right now for anybody who could prove he was lying about this hospital. And it's just a corruption, work to the maximum. Even in hospitals, so it's awful. But anyway, that was the rest of the story. A little bit more detail.
Yeah, man, it's why the whole thing's crazy with this whole thing. It's what I always say, Roper, is that when they want to come down on you and put the clamp down on you, they're going to do it. They'll find a reason. Everybody breaks the law every day. Our very existence is against one of their procedures or their codes. They just make a bunch of these legal codes, policies, and they're going to get you for something. They're going to hit you for something with taxes, or they're going to press you for this, or if they want to go after you, they're going to do it. And if they're going to flex their muscles, that's just the way it's going to be. It's crazy.
I think the best thing we could do as a society, because that's what they're doing. They're using societal methods to control us, is if everyone actually woke up and got together and they do something like this Cupid disease and announce it, and we all go belly laugh at every innuendo, everything they try to do. Just laugh at them. I mean, that we're not right, but everybody. Well, you'd have to wake. It's hard to wake a lot of people up. Like you say, it becomes lonelier and lonelier the more you try to wake up. So that's all I just want to finish up on this story. It just irritated me bad, and it's kind of a local deal that I thought I'd mention.
Cool.
Anyway.
All right, Roper. Much love, man. Thanks for coming on. Talk to you.
Talk
to you later, man.
Bye.
It's El Ropero. Roper, everybody. All right, guys and dolls. Let's get to it. It's time for news. In tonight's top story, protesters in custody after Columbia University calls in police to end pro-Palestinian occupation. Officers took protesters into custody late Tuesday after Columbia University called in police to end the pro-Palestinian occupation on the New York campus. The scene unfolded shortly after 9 p.m. as police wearing helmets and carrying zip ties and riot shields massed at the Ivy League University's entrance. Officers breached Hamilton Hall, an administration building on campus, to clear out the structure. The demonstrators had occupied Hamilton Hall more than 12 hours earlier, spreading their reach from an encampment elsewhere on the grounds that's been there for nearly 2 weeks. Columbia's protests earlier this month kicked off demonstrations that now span from California to Massachusetts. As May commencement ceremonies near, administrators face added pressure to clear protesters. All right, so here we go. It's almost like there's nothing new under the sun. I mean, we've been presented with these stories of these campus sit-ins, these protests, ever since like the modern age of the modern college life. It seems to be a thing, almost a rite of passage anymore. Interesting, though, these pro-Palestinian protesters, which are being categorized as anti-Semitic, which, again, this plays into the dialectic. I mean, is it so bad to support the end of war and killing and things like that? I kind of think maybe that's what these young people should be doing. Hey, at least they care about something. But the way I look at it is their youthful zeal, their willingness to change the world and make the world a better place is usually misguided, primarily because of the fundamental understandings that they likely have regarding this world. Because the indoctrination runs deep, especially at that age. I could recall when I was that age, you believe things and you accept things about your reality that you don't understand or merely beliefs. You believe the presentation, even if it's unconscious. You subconsciously believe in evolution. You subconsciously believe in the vastness of ever-expanding space and that the technological age offers some type of utopian dream to humanity. There's these certain beliefs that we have, that we hold. Unfortunately, these young men and women, idealistic as they may be, very likely hold these unconscious belief sets. Therefore, their actions, their energies will very likely only fuel the goals of this so-called New World Order. They're really just playing into the dialectic, flaming the fires of discord. And that to me is the saddest thing. And that's why I think there's something incumbent upon those who maybe have a different understanding to continue to impart this knowledge to the next generation. It's kind of why I do the things that I do and live the life that I live, is because I can look back at myself when I had that same passion about the world, about others in the world and what this place really could be. You know, our lives may be somewhat on the decline. Things may have not turned out the way that we would have wanted them to, but there's something in me that thinks that the next generation deserves a shot at it. And that could be the hopeless dreamer that still remains in me. In other news, from ABC, 4 dead, more than 50 suspected drug overdoses in Austin outbreak. Officials in Austin, Texas are investigating an outbreak of deadly drug overdoses spreading across the city. Austin Travis County Emergency Medical Services and the Austin Police Department said they received a total of 51 calls for suspected overdoses as of Tuesday afternoon, with 4 suspected deaths related to the surge. APD said overdose patients ranged in age from 20s to 50s and across racial and ethnic groups. Those who died from overdoses have been identified by their age range, etc., etc. So let's see what this was about. The team was immediately deployed the area and Narcan rescue kits were distributed. Narcan is a nasal spray and the active ingredient in the medication is naloxone. No, not naloxone. Naloxone can quickly restore breathing if someone has experienced an opioid overdose. So here it is with these opioids. It was likely fentanyl that's typically the offender in these opioid overdose situations. somebody told me once, I don't know how true it is, that there's enough fentanyl right now in production and circulation to kill every man, woman, and child on this entire earth. So this is a big deal. The idea of these pharmaceuticals, these deadly pharmaceuticals, who's making them? Why? What's the purpose? Do the ends justify the means? Is it corporate greed? Is it some weird agenda? Some way to sabotage mankind? Is it our human weakness, our frailty that leads to these things? So many questions, so little answers. People think they have definitive answers for these things. Unfortunately, there are not. These things are complex. Yes, there's a greed element to these people who make these. It was the same thing with all opioids, Percocets, and in particular the OxyContin. The OxyContin issue that we saw in the last couple decades. There's so many things in on it. There's just the basic profit motive that underlies our entire economic system. But here's the thing when it comes to profits and vice and things like this, is the economy, the motivation for financial gain should never supersede one's morality. So one's moral understanding, a moral umbrella, should be the overarching mindset and philosophy that governs one's actions, behaviors, thoughts. Everything should be embedded within that. So to claim things are strictly business or to justify one's behavior for some financial gain or some means to secure a livelihood, these things are not justified in the end. Again, this comes down to a mindset. It comes down to an understanding, a consciousness. And it's very much harder to convince somebody that their actions are justified if they have an idea of the spiritual, an idea of God. Once you remove the spiritual, even the mystical, out of a person's mindset, you've then set them up for these self-justifying types of behaviors where they can just say to themselves, well, I need to eat, I need to feed my family, therefore justifying these heinous and dastardly deeds that they're perpetrating amongst their fellow man. All right, folks, that'll do it for the news and another Z show. Trying to keep the shows tight. We're at 3 hours and 13. So we'll end it here, even though sometimes I want to just go on and on and on, but let's not do that. So we'll just say thank you all for being here. Much love, everybody. And if the fates are indeed willing, we will be back here tomorrow evening. Same Z time, same Z channel. Much love, y'all. Peace.